mademoiselle. You have to go with her. You can't tell her what to do. You have to go with her.
And she was, of course, so far behind on her first start, and she completely missed the break. And she did well to make up the ground she did, didn't she?
Yeah. No, as I say, she showed quality at home. First time out, I think you just have to forget this race. And
absolutely.
That's why she proved the second time she went by 8 lengths. So
she was incredibly impressive, beating this filly Early Motion, who I think was a little bit disappointing. She didn't improve more on her first start, which was encouraging, finishing third behind Rio Angie. As Xavier said, she was well beaten behind Down on the Bayou, and she's 50-1 today. She's a tiny filly, so how much she will improve is I think sort of open to some debate, in that she didn't really move forward off that first start. She goes for Masaba Al-Maheri, who's got some nice runners tonight. Big night for him. This is final song. Now, if we're going off ratings, she's rated 103, 13 pounds clear of her rivals. She's got some great form from the UK. She won an Ascot Maiden very impressively by 5 lengths, was third in the Queen Mary behind Raffle Prize, and then also third in the Duchess of Cambridge behind that same rival. But she's by Dark Angel. Most of those do handle the dirt, I'd say.
Yeah, I believe. That's the only question mark, I believe, tonight, because she got beat by Raffle Price. Raffle Price was the best 2-year-old filly for His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed. So she definitely has quality. The only question mark tonight, I believe, it's the surface.
Yeah, absolutely. And she will need to break well, of course. Sobian Straw has a fine record in this race, though, and she looks his first string this evening. We know Saeed's horses are pretty much always fit and raring to go. There's Masaba Al-Maheri and Antonio Frezu, and this is Good Reason, the mount of Harry Bentley, who was our guest on the winning line last night. He was a little concerned about the trip for this filly, and you can understand why. The last couple of times we've seen her in action was over the 2,000 metres, when she was quite well held at Chelmsford last time out. On the face of it, her form is pretty inferior to that of her stable mates. I think you can understand why she's the third string of Saeed's this evening. I think she's going to find things a little bit tough. She's a winner. That did come at Chelmsford on the all-weather, but all-weather and dirt, they're just so different, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. You cannot really compare. That's why we were lucky to have Jebel Ali, which was a surface a bit like kind the all-weather, like in between the two.
Yeah, let's hope it's back soon. This is Hamama, who finished 8 lengths behind Down Under Bayou last time. That was a good run. Do you think she might get closer this time?
Well, I was surprised. I mean, not surprised, but I was happy the way she ran. Like on TV, I mean, it was first time out, first run, so she probably didn't know what's going on, and she still ran a good race. She finished well. Yeah. Down of the Bayou was gone, but she finished well.
Yeah, she finished really well. She's certainly an interesting one. A bit of value as well, about 16-1 on the UK market. Savannah Red's being a little bit tricky to deal with. She's got cool headgear on, though. Almost stars. Well, they are stars and stripes blinkers. Not being easy at all, though, for the Francisco Castro team. Francisco yet to have a winner here in the UAE. 10 attempts, but he's got a good string here this year, so hopefully he can break his duck. And she's probably going to struggle, I think. 33-1 would be about right, but she did win a conditions race last time over a mile, so she will certainly see out this trip. That was back at home in Sweden. As we look at last surprise amount of Jim Crowley riding for Simon Crisford, who's got a very strong, certainly numerically a strong carnival team here. And this filly's been pretty busy. She's had 6 starts in the UK, won 2 of them, and she was a 72,000 dirham purchase initially at the Tattersall's December Foals sale. She'd be a bit of a surprising winner on pedigree, in that she's by No Nay Never out of an Oasis Dream, that mare, so not really bred for the dirt, but I'm interested to see how she gets on, to give us an idea of where we are with the Simon Crisford horses. So they've got some nice ones. And this is one from your yard. What do you know about Pano Shoshik?
Well, Pano Shoshik, she's a bit more backward than Dawn of the Bayou, but she's very, very, very professional in his action and in his work at home, in her work. So look, for her first time out, she seems to be quiet, so that's probably a good sign.
More on her in a moment. Let's hear from Stephen, though.
It's a warm welcome to Patrick Wall, who saddles Silent Night in our upcoming race. Nice to see you here. Are you glad to be back in Dubai?
Thank you very much. Thank you to have us.
And Silent Night, she's got plenty of experience. Do you think that might help her in tonight's race?
Well, it really should. As a 2-year-old may experience, they're getting tougher and tougher. So yeah, I would say that would help us a bit.
And she's run over further last time. Are you worried about the drop back in distance tonight?
No, that would be better to go back to shorter distance. We dropped her behind last time, and that was really wrong to do that. She didn't enjoy herself. So she has a good draw. So hopefully she's going to be up there.
And how's she been training on this dirt surface here? Is it much different to what you have at home?
Not really. It's going to be faster here, and which she would prefer, I guess. It's pretty much the same.
And unfortunately, you've got one non-runner tonight, but nothing too seriously wrong with Red Hot Chili? No, he did get the bruise, hoof abscess, and he was fine today, actually, but we had to not run him today, and he is running in 2 weeks' time. Well, that's good. We wish you all the best with Silent Night. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
Good to hear there from Patrick Wall. Wish him every success with that Silent Night, who's another daughter of Night of Thunder. In here as we look at Varsha, who I saw have a bit of a spin round on this dirt a few weeks ago. I thought she actually moved quite nicely on it. She's another one you wouldn't be that convinced about her handling this surface on pedigree, though. She's a no-name never. But she's out of a Warfront mare, which would give her a little bit of hope. And the yard won this race last year with Al Hayati, who was most impressive. She's one of the cheaper purchases here, Varsha, at just the 45,000 guineas. And she finished fourth, actually in a very good maiden at Yarmouth. I'm behind a filly called Jovial. That's decent form, but say just a few things to be taken on trust with her this evening. We haven't seen Rio Angie, the favourite for this race, so we'll try and pick her up in a moment or two. But both of Salem's fillies behaving well so far, which is, you know, it's a big night for them, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm happy to see Dawn of the Bayou quiet, because she can be a bit funny in her head. So she seems like she took her race well last time, so that's a good sign.
And did you notice a sort of improvement? Have you noticed an improvement since she joined you? You must
well,
have done.
Yes, a lot. It's not in her quality, because the quality has been there from day one, but in her attitude. She used to be very, very funny in her head to ride in the morning, and since we put the hood on her, she started to be quiet, and she's getting better and better.
It's all a learning curve for them, I suppose, isn't it? But no one particularly boiling over. Stephen has returned from, quite a busy parade ring. Nice mix of nationalities in this race.
Yeah, there are the Scandinavians not afraid to have a go, and they sort of look the more clued up of the fillies walking around. They do have that bit of extra experience. The main eye catcher from the parade ring was the saddle cloths, which I'm sure you've noticed, 0.6 and 0.5 all the way up to 10.
I don't understand it.
No.
I didn't find just a 6 on its own confusing, personally.
No, exactly.
But if you did and you're happy with the addition of the 0, then good.
Yeah.
0.6 is Final Song, who we'll have a look at. Top class form this. I think she's been a bit ignored, isn't she?
She is. I mean, it's the obvious one of Godolphin going onto the dirt for the first time, but you know, she contested Group 2s, Group 3s all the way since her very emphatic maiden success at Ascot, not beating Firing Queen Mary's and the Duchess of Cambridge. I suppose on that evidence you could suggest she might turn out to be a sprinter, but they had options next week on the turf to run her. She also held an entry, perhaps rather ambitiously, in the Derbawi Stakes, and the way she faded out of things there, admittedly on good to soft ground over 1,400 metres, does raise the one concern for me being the trip. But
we showed you her win earlier in our feature, but show you this again and get Xavier's thoughts on it, because I mean she couldn't have been more impressive really than winning the way she did. It was early on in the season, you know, she's had a lot of time after to sort of get over those exertions, which is something Doug Watson in particular likes to do. This was back on the 7th of November. What did you make of this?
Well, she was impressive, definitely. You know, like every horse is from Doug, when they run, they are ready. So for sure she was ready, and they knew she had quality, and she did well. We just need to see if she improved on this run or no.
Yeah, because she might have to improve, Stephen, because obviously there's better horses in here, but the second has let the form down rather, Majula, since.
Yeah, she did. She took on the boys next time, but she was disappointing. Obviously down on DeBeo, lost all her chance at the start. So in effect it was a 4-runner race. And the time she posted was a second slower than Down on DeBeo, but the difference between them was about a month. So would the track have been riding a lot quicker when Down on DeBeo won her race?
Could be. Let's see, because like again with young horses, you don't know. She could be a good filly, show well first time out and second time out, not that good. So let's see how she improves on this run.
I was saying to Xavier off camera earlier, we're really just going on the Pat Dobbs and Doug Watson say so with her to some extent, because we don't think she did beat a huge amount there, and it's really reputation at this stage.
Yeah, and the other, I mean, she did cost $320,000.
That too. So a lot of people liked her at the sale.
So I think that's fairly significant. There is a lot of depth to her pedigree, regardless of what she achieved first time out. So there's that in the favour. Saying that, Down on DeBeo is a half-sister to Polar Rhythm, so there's plenty of depth to her pedigree as well. So look, it's one of those races we don't like sitting on the fence, but it really and truly is a race to watch, and not necessarily come up with an informed opinion unless you were absolutely blown away by either filly's victory first time out, which you have a right to be, but you just simply can't compare the two at this stage. So this is why we have trials. It's a nice sort of calm way to kick off the carnival, with the added incentive of the Godolphin fillies in there, who like I say, would have to be pretty special to see off what are already proven dirt performers.
I love that Saeed bin Straw's never afraid to try, though.
No, he's not, is he?
He will try pretty much anything on the dirt, which is a policy that's kind of brought him a couple more World Cups, because Thundersnow, no right to go on it on pedigree.
No, exactly, yeah. And Final Song would have been amongst his best 2-year-old fillies, really. The fact she was the one representing him in those big races. And she's had a nice break as well, since any horse that runs at Royal Ascot, they need time to get over it. She did have another run or two, but she's had time to get over that quite extensive start to her career. So we'll see how she fares. There are plenty of turf options now for the 3-year-olds, so get it out of the way first night. If she doesn't handle it, they can go back on the grass.
Yeah, it never used to be the case, really. And they really have expanded this 3-year-old programme, which is great. But let's see how she gets on here. I'm going to stick with Rio Angie and hope that Doug Watson's right about how much he likes her. I imagine you're not deserting Down on DeBeo.
Yeah, no, I will go with her, definitely.
And you're in the Rio Angie camp as well?
I think so. I'll give a quick mention as well to her mama, who I think can finish closer to Down on DeBeo. She made a big race move that day, just couldn't quite sustain it. And I think Akbar bin Hamish might well be primed for the start of the carnival.
Yeah, big night tonight for him, whatever happens, as they load up for our UAE 1000 Guineas trial. A very good evening and happy carnival time to commentator Craig Evans.
Left with 5 out of the lineup. Divine Trinity making her debut is coming along. A barrier blanket for Dubai Love. Pat Cosgrave in the saddle. Hamamar is coming along, about to load up. See the shadow to go forward, and Rio Angie. International favourite now is Down on DeBeo, just ahead of Final Song and Rio Angie. Now they're all set. Let the carnival begin for 2020. Down on DeBeo just on the back foot. The gates open. Began well. Down on DeBeo off the inside. Ferry Yellowwoke very quickly, and Final Song out in the middle as well. Rio Angie bounced away well. Out wide on the track in the early stages. There is Last Surprise. They were followed by Hamamar and Divine Love picking up ground. Down on the inside, Silent Night, followed by Early Motion. Then came Havana Red up on the outer. Then came Divine Trinity. Varsha down on the inside from Good Reason. Getting a long way back, Panashosik. And back at the tail is See the Shadow, about to come off the back straight behind a lead section of 24.46, and Down on DeBeo railed through and showed the way over Rio Angie up to its flanks in second. Out 3 wide is Feriel. They were followed then by Hamamar. Then came Dubai Love, and out 3 wide is Final Song with the white cap. 2 lengths away then to Last Surprise, just getting a little right along, followed by Early Motion. Down on the inside then was Silent Night as they come to the top of the lane, and the rest are headed by Divine Trinity into the straight. Down on DeBeo and Rio Angie pretty well match motors as they turn for home. Dubai Love is down the outside, and Final Song is beginning to run on very strongly over near the fence. Down into Bayou, Rio Angie has a real fight on her hands, and here's Final Song between them beginning to power home. Down into Bayou, hit the front again, but Final Song went straight by it inside the final 200 metres. Gave them all Winburn, and Final Song races away. Great win. Wins by 2 on Down into Bayou, Rio Angie. Then came Dubai Love. A gap off in the field. Next across the line was Hamamar. They were followed by Silent Night, who ran on. Then came Last Surprise, Divine Trinity, Havana Red, Panashosik. Then came Feriel, while back in the run was Early Motion, followed by See the Shadow. Then came Good Reason and Varsha, one of the last to come in. Ooh, that was impressive. Final Song, Christophe Simeon and Saeed Bin Sarua has flashed through between them and has come on to score just a second victory. His first win at Ascot back in May was excellent when it led all the way. And then it struck a soft track at its next start, and then fought on really strongly behind the good one, Raffle Prize. Last time it got a little bit tired, but given a break since then. And that has been super, super impressive. First time dirt for Final Song as it jogged up in the UAE 1000 Guineas Trail. Down into Bayou, took full advantage of that inside draw and a cracker in second. And Rio Angie sitting outside the lead has boxed on strongly into third, ahead of Dubai Love. But Godolphin strike first, as they have many, many times, to take the first race of the 2020 Dubai World Cup Carnival.
It's a race Saeed Bin Saror has won many times over the years, including with fillies that have gone on to land the Guineas. And who says this filly won't do that? She was very impressive there, Xavier. I think you would have thought Down Under Bayou had it. Indeed, so did I. And then, like a knife through butter, she split them, and it was a good win.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, earlier in the race, I was not looking at her even. Like, we were focusing on Down Under Bayou and Rio Angie, who were fighting together, but she had a strong finish. She was impressive.
She really was impressive, and proved she handled the dirt, proved that, as Craig mentioned, the break that she's had since October, the mid-season break that she had, all worked very, very nicely here, and she's extremely exciting, and the right horses came to the fore, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. The two fillies that had won their respective maidens were second and third, and, you know, she actually quickened. You don't often see, you sort of see horses come with sustained runs on the dirt, but, you know, the way she quickened through those two late in the day, and that was certainly very impressive. Belying any doubts whatsoever about her stamina. On that evidence, you'd have no problem with her stepping up to 1,600 metres of the Guineas, and perfect start for Saeed Bin Saror and indeed Christophe Simeon, who's now won his last two races here at Meydan.
Yes, yeah, a little bit different perhaps to the $12 million Dubai World Cup, but nevertheless he'll be delighted to get the Carnival off to a winning start, and done it from stall 11, which isn't easy at all. And so he just had to take it on trust that she was going to handle this dirt, being by Dark Angel. She's out of a filly called Rahia, who was actually third in a French Guineas. And I suppose your big boss will be very happy, because it makes the Raffle Prize form look strong, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure.
And it's
I'm
nice.
just watching at her. I mean, she was impressive, and I believe she can stay. This filly.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there'll be any problem with her taking the mile, as Stephen says.
Any problem longer for her.
It's nice when the UK form comes through to the fore and holds firm here in Dubai.
Yeah, it certainly is, and proves, you know, that any owner, trainer in Britain can have a crack at the dirt, really. You know, this filly would never have raced on it before. She'll have perhaps had one spin round Meydan a couple of weeks ago, just to get used to the surface. And quite often people will tell you it's not a case of horses not handling it, it's just a case of needing a bit of time to get used to it. But she's handled it perfectly well straight away. You know, the field did get well strung out early. Be interesting to see just where she was in the early run. I've got a feeling Christophe was just able to get her off the rail and not necessarily facing too much kickback. He doesn't look to be covered in the dirt, does he, coming back? So maybe he was able to get a cute run round, but still, the way she went between those two fillies, very impressive.
Very impressive indeed. The crowd are delighted. I think they were mostly roaring for Rio Angie, because she was the favourite internationally, and I expect she was the favourite on the pick six, but they're always happy to see Saeed Bin Saror with another winner, and that takes him to 233 Carnival winners in his illustrious career. Has she got a blue tail, or am I seeing things? That'd be very cool.
Yeah, I think she has.
I like that a lot. So there's one race I actually thought Godolphin might not win this evening. It's going to be a tough night, I think, for the internationals, and maybe even a tough night for the locals based on that.
Yeah, we know when the carnival's starting and the Godolphins start to come, it's always harder. But the good thing, it makes more competition. It also gives us chance to see where we are. As you say, like when a horse is coming from Europe and they have a good rate, and like how a filly finished second from her tonight, that means she has quality.
Yeah.
Because when we have only the local horses, we are competing between us, so we never know if where is really the quality. But tonight, we have an idea.
I think we've said all along as well, the fillies are better than the colts here.
Looks
so
like.
It doesn't necessarily bode too well for next week, does it, in the 2,000 guineas trial? But we can see the start, and the die was cast, really, wasn't it, down under Bayo and Rio Angie up there. And yeah, final song in the White Cat. Christophe Soumillon was just able to keep a 4-5 wide, just out of the kickback. And I think probably one Richie Mullins filly begins to fade. Ferriel, who's again shown a bit of speed without sustaining it, he was just able to then tuck her in behind. And it's looks like a fairly smooth race for her.
It has, but I agree with Xavier. At this point, I wasn't really concentrating on her. I thought Rio Angie probably had it because she seemed to be travelling better, but then it looked to me like Down Under Bay has seen out the trip better. And what would you think about her coming back over a mile?
Look, she has speed, and I'm not sure about the mile. I think she really has speed. Both of them have speed more than stamina, I believe.
I don't think it's a case that they've gone so fast they've set it up for the third, do you?
Don't know.
1.2444 is the time of the race. 1.2307 is the track record held by Ravens Corner. So, you know, an older horse setting it, so the time's that's not too bad at all. Just good result for Sabin Straw right the way through, really, because he also finished fourth with Dubai Love. And a good run from Patrick Wall's horse, Silent Night. She's finished fifth, ahead of Hamama, another of the locals, who's finished sixth. But I'm sure Silent won't be disappointed with Down Under Bay. I mean, she's run a great race, hasn't she? And you were right in that you thought she was better than Rio Angie.
Well, I'm definitely sure he'll be happy. Even the big boss will be happy. It's good. Like she won last time out, and she proved tonight like she could run again. So it's good for the future. Let's see if she can go on longer, or if we have to go to keep this distance. But it's a good run. It's a good run.
And it's kind of a new venture, isn't it, for your yard? I don't think you've had too many two-year-old fillies before.
No. Fillies we had last year. Last year we had two fillies as well.
Oh, Shamika and Foggy Flight.
Foggy Flight, yes. And but we don't have that much fillies. It's true.
There's a few in here that have struggled. Just being eased down at the back was good reason. Who very much looked the lesser light from the Saeed bin Saror team. But there's a lot to like about this filly. She always looked to me tremendously gutsy final song. I thought even in defeat at Royal Ascot, she's only beaten a length behind Raffle Prize, who, as Xavier says, was a top-class horse. She was only just beaten in a Group 1 herself over in France, Raffle Prize. So the form ties in really well with the best that the two-year-old European fillies had to offer last year. And the fact that she's gone on and done it on the dirt, that makes her a very, very versatile horse, because not many can act on both surfaces at a good level.
No, it's...
Mutarafa, who's another new one for him, who's come from the UK. And you like what you see so far?
This horse, you know, from first gallop, he showed me he will be star. Inshallah, he will be star, because I saw his different horse. Okay, inshallah, I think maybe because he's coming more healthy. Yes, he's coming healthy and quick. He's coming ready.
Yeah. And he came from Charlie Hills. He's rated 91. Will you go straight to the carnival, do you think, with him?
I think, yeah. To give him little time to coming more strong.
Okay. And you've been galloping him on the dirt. You think he'll run on the dirt first time?
You know, because no choice now. If we will run him on the dirt, we should to gallop him on the dirt. Already we train him on the dirt. On the grass, still I don't know how he's on the grass in front of me. Okay, he ran there on the grass, but in front of me, I don't know. In front of me, I don't know how is he on the grass, because different grass here and England. But inshallah, if he will, when they will open the grass, I will give him gallop on the grass before the carnival.
But you're quite excited about him.
Yes.
So we'll when we see him, we're going to have high hopes.
Inshallah.
Good to hear there from Musabra Maheri about Mutarafa. I went into the...
This is here now. It's been a long time since the World Cup.
Yeah, I finished the World Cup night well, and I start the carnival quite good. So yeah, I'm very happy.
And that was very impressive from final song. To what degree did she quicken at the end, or were the others two stopping a bit?
She quickened because yeah, when we came out the turn, the two horses in the front just keep going, and they took off like 3-4 lengths from all the field. And unfortunately, at that point, I was behind horses going backwards. So I took the inside option to save a bit of ground, and finally, yeah, she get a bit of kickback, but it's always good to learn them to get a little bit of that, because yeah, on dirt races here, you never know if you're gonna have some kickback or not. But yeah, today she did really well, and I really like the way she quickened the last 200.
Obviously, you rode over 5 furlongs in England during the summer. Were there any worries for you about 7 furlong trip today?
No, absolutely not, because Ascot is a quite tough track, and when I came back after the race, I told Saeed that she will be better on further distance, starting from 6 to 7 furlong. And yeah, on a flat track like here on dirt, I was sure she can handle it, and I even think she can handle a mile. The way she did it today, she can relax well, and yeah, she did everything well. She jumped out the gates quite fast too, so no, she got everything on her side.
So it looks an exciting filly. A couple more rides to come, including Dubai Legacy. Is that near enough for your minimum weight, 55 kilos?
Yeah, I come back from Japan, so I look quite fit at the moment. So yeah, I'm in great shape, and I try to stay on that. So I'm gonna try to ride lightweight as much as possible, and keep yeah, my fitness at this point. And yeah, I'm very happy to ride some horses here, and for sure when you ride just 56 and 57 kilos, sometimes you miss some good ones. So maybe it's going to help me to get 2 or 3 different horses to bring me good rides and winners, probably.
So going to Japan will definitely help, because they weight you quite hard there, don't they?
Yeah, the weight is hard, and they have great horses, so they're going to come back for the Dubai World Cup meeting also, so I know we can find some great horses there. So it's always important to travel around the world and find champions.
Well, it's a great end to 2019, great start to 2020. Great to see you back.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
91 winners now here in the UAE for Christophe Soumillon, who's kind of segued nicely from having a top jog with Mike Dukakis into basically #1 jockey for Saeed bin Suroor, who's got some very, very good jockeys in his stable in the mornings, including Harry Bentley, who's just had his only ride on the card. He was our guest on the winning line yesterday. Pat Cosgrove also will be riding for Saeed, and possibly Aashim Murphy, who may well appear later on in the carnival. But I think Christophe's very much Saeed's #1, isn't he? They've got a good partnership.
Yeah, now since few years, Christophe is the #1 for Saeed, especially here. Well, you can't go without him. Come on, if I was trainer, and I could have him on my horses, I wouldn't think twice.
You're telling me he didn't win the French champion jockey title this year. He does win it quite often.
No, yeah, since his last title, he said on TV, I won't do it again because it's a tough work. I didn't see my family all year, so I want to focus on something different. But to run behind the championship, it's really tough for the jockey, for the family. It's not easy at all, I believe. Like you must have support, a big support behind, because you every day on the road, driving to track. So it's not easy at all.
Do the top jockeys in France fly? Do they have helicopters, planes?
No, not that much. No? Not that much. Well, we are probably more lucky than in England. Like the tracks are not that far, or I mean, if they are far, it's probably quicker than in England. But mostly, no, we don't travel much by helicopter or plane. Only like if you had to travel like from Paris to Lyon or Paris to Strasbourg, stuff like that, yeah, we could take the plane. But usually we travel by car.
Spoilt here in the UAE, really, aren't you? The furthest you have to go is an hour and a half.
Like when I see myself off today, I have to go to Al Ain. Like it's only an hour, 20 minutes drive, which
An hour and I can't do it in less than an hour and a half. You must be going quickly.
Well, that's probably why I'm having many tickets then.
So you obviously drive like you ride, straight to the front and
Straight
fast.
to the front.
Yeah, we do have a pretty nice programme of events here in the UAE. It's our first of 3 meetings this weekend. We'll be at Al Ain tomorrow and back here at Meydan on Saturday. But the pressing issue of 5 more carnival races is what's coming up. Back to Stephen for more info on race 2.
Yeah, race 2, a sprint, very competitive too. One race that Godolphin won't be winning, and perhaps the best chance of an international success. A Moment of Madness, quite a warm favourite on the international markets for Charlie Hills, who's still in search of his first victory here in Dubai. Let's show you the full conditions then. For this race, we're over the flying 5 furlongs. It is a limited handicap for horses rated 90, beg your pardon, to 105. And the prize fund for this is $135,000. First prize of $81,000. By no means worth having, surely. Number 1 then, Pocket Dynamo, first start for Salem bin Ghadaya. Mikhail Barzalana on board. 2 is Rifle Scope for Satish Seema, Richie Mullen. 3, Caspian Prince, the 11-year-old. He's been here, done it before, but not for a couple of years. He's the mount of Connor Beasley. Ambience goes for Per Anders Greyberg. Number 5 is the aforementioned A Moment of Madness, who is the mount of James Doyle. 6 is Blueberry, representing Guillermo Arizcareta, who's got a great record here in Dubai. A couple of winners from 15 starts, also plenty of second placings in that. 7 is Ias Racco. 8 is Rafid, who was looking full of himself in the pre-parade ring, bucking and kicking his way around. Portamento is another one for the Ali Rashid Al Rahi yard. 10 is Almanara, intriguing switch back to turf for this half-brother to Dark Angel. 11 is Trick Bag for Tygo Shea, Susanna Bernaclint. And finally, Mutarafa, just heard about him from Musabra Al Maheri. Antonio Fresu rides that one.
Really good race this. I love these dashes. They always attract a nice international lineup. We got horses here from the UAE, from the UK, from over in Scandinavia, from Spain. It really is a top-notch event, and a couple of the UAE trainers doing something different, notably Doug Watson with Almanara. But this is Pocket Dynamo representing your yard. What can you tell us about him?
Well, he's an interesting horse. First time for her, so we will see where he is. But lot of speed. He showed a lot of speed at home. He's not that big, as you can see, but quite nice horse.
He was a serious sprinter for Robert Cow, not beaten far at all at Royal Ascot. Hasn't won since May of 2018, but run very, very well in defeat, including in a listed race at Deauville when last in action in July. This is Rifle Scope, who's just a super horse for his newish owners, Hot Scott Racing, who bought into him the end of season sale a couple of years ago. He very nearly made it to World Cup night last year. He arguably deserves the spot there, having finished 4th behind a Blue Point in the Meydan sprint here over 6 furlongs. And that's my concern with him, that he may just need a little bit further than this, the way he kind of comes through the race and runs on late. But then again, they will go a lot faster, which could play to his strengths. He'll be pretty fit. He was only beaten 5 lengths in the National Day Cup at Abu Dhabi last time, over a trip that stretches him, I would say, over a mile. This is Caspian Prince, an amazing horse. He's on his 4th carnival, 11 years old now.
11 years old. It's amazing. It showed like also, I believe sprinters can run like long compared to longer horses.
They can.
Longer distance horses, sorry.
And they run often, and they seem to hold their form quite well. He actually won a course and distance handicap back in 2015, did Caspian Prince, who'll be ridden by Connor Beasley. There he is. And he's now £5 lower than that success. He's had 6 trainers. And he's now with Mick Appleby, a very capable trainer indeed. This is Ambiance, who represents Roy Kavizla. Per Anders Greyberg is on board this one. He used to be trained in the UK by Roger Varian, and also had a spell with Mick Shannon. He's beautifully bred. He's a half-brother to the now Shadwell stallion Herat. Won 2 of his 13 starts at this distance, and last time we saw him in action, that was at Bro Park over in Sweden, when he finished 2nd behind Corinthian Knight, a British horse, in the international race there. One that I wouldn't want to completely rule out from quite an enticing price of 14. And there's Antonio Fresu, who's got a good partnership with Masaba. It's been a good move for him, hasn't it?
Yeah, good move. Well done to him. And Yeah, they have a good season together. It seems to work well.
They are. They've been in great form, but they had a dismal very first meeting, and then the horses came on in leaps and bounds. This is a moment of madness. He's got a huge chance here, I think, for Charlie Hills. He's yet to have a winner in Dubai, but he's only had 11 runners. Well, more on him later. We'll show you his most recent run. And this is Blueberry, who's been winning everything in Spain. His form ties in quite closely with Abrantes, who went close in this race last year. He's ridden by 6-time Spanish champion jockey Vaclav Janacek here, and quite a few people whose opinions
Very good
I
looking.
respect fancy this fellow, including Ron Wood of the Racing Post and our own Stephen Molyneux. He is a good-looking horse, isn't he? You wouldn't think, though, a son of So You Think would be getting sprinters.
No, yeah, at all.
Remarkable.
But we have to keep an eye on him.
And this is S. Racco, who is 3 from 3 over this trip, which isn't to be sniffed at. It was a relatively cheap purchase, 31,000 in the Tattersall's December yearling sales, and went over to Scandinavia, where he's been incredibly consistent over at Jägersro. He doesn't look the easiest, so does he? Doing a bit of stomping.
Yeah. Nice. Question mark with him, he never ran on the turf, if I'm not wrong.
No, you're completely right. Never run on the turf. All of his runs have come on the dirt surface. I imagine that they wanted to run over this trip rather than wait for a dirt race, or indeed run in the Dubai Stakes. It does seem quite strange. And this fellow you'll have ridden against many times, Portamento. He's a gorgeous looking horse, isn't he? Do you think he can win it?
Well, he has quality. He's by Chamardal. I mean, so this year Chamardal were not this year, but Chamardal produced a lot of horses with speed. Blue Point, Pinatubo.
Let's hear from Stephen. Give us some insights from the Parade Ring.
Yeah, I'm joined by Guillermo Auscaretta. He's just having an anxious look at Blueberry because he's getting a bit on his toes. Is he that sort of horse?
Yeah, normally he's a bit quieter, but it's first time here, so he looks well.
He looks a big, strong horse, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a very strong horse. He's been very backward, and now he's coming to himself. I hope there is a little bit of improvement in him still, so we'll see.
And I watched his last run over 6 furlongs on soft ground. Did the soft ground just catch him out late on, do you think?
Yeah, he's better on fast ground, I think. And then he lost a shoe as well in that race, so I think he'll like the surface today, and we see. He might be better over 6, but we try him over 5 today, and we see.
He's sort of been by So You Think. He shouldn't really be a sprinter, should he?
No, he shouldn't. Well, I bought him thinking about the Derby in Spain, so I got it a bit wrong. But I think he's got the speed of Oasis Rim. His mum is out of Oasis Rim, so it comes from him.
And of course, his form ties in with Abrantes, who had his carnival cut short here last year, but he's back and in good form here.
Yeah, well, he injured himself last year after his first run. He had the surgery here in Dubai. They did a great job, and he came back in the autumn in Spain. He came back well, good. He won last time, so hopefully we'll try to win this year again.
And you've still got an excellent record here. Do you think both these horses can be competitive again?
Yeah, I hope so. They'll be competitive. Hopefully they run well first time out, and then we can hope about the next races.
Well, we wish you all the best. Great to see you back.
Okay, thank you.
Really helpful stuff there from Guillermo Auscaretta, who's got a good record here in Dubai. 2 winners from 18 starters, and you heard him there comment about Abrantes. Good to have him back as well as Blueberry. And you quite like the look of this Blueberry, don't you?
Yeah.
He looks like a power-packed individual. He's not making things easy for Vaclav Janacek going down to the start. This fellow's behaving himself quite nicely, though. Trick bag for Suzanne Berner-Clinton, who was going to run him in the Dubai Stakes. She perhaps took a look at that race and thought it was rather deep water, but the best of his form has come on the dirt. So interesting to see how he gets on. He's never won on the turf. And this is Mutarafa for Masaba, who does so well with sprinters, doesn't he?
Yeah, Musaba can train sprinters. He's doing really well with them. I really want to see this horse running tonight. His form is on longer, probably more on 7 or 7.5 furlong, but as you say, Musaba can train sprinters, so let's see. And 54 kilo only on his back.
Yeah, 2 things very much in his favour. I agree with you, a bit of a concern about the distance. His first run, as you say, over the 1,000 metres. And Stephen's back from what was a very informative chat with Guillermo there. It's been a while since his last winners here in Dubai with lovely Plantagenet in the Tapeta, but his trainer's be respected.
I think he said last year that the reason he didn't bring them back is because he didn't think they could win. So he wasn't going to travel them if he didn't think they had a chance. But that horse looked really well in the Parade Ring before, and he was getting a bit concerned that he was getting a bit on his toes because that's not his normal normal way of going about things, but no, he certainly impressed me in the parade ring. There are one or two interesting elements to the horses going round. S. Racco was doing the Zenyatta stomp on his way round, and Rafid was another one that was trying to wipe out anybody that got to within a couple of lengths of his hindquarters. So whether that's a sign of well-being from both or not, or a bit of anxiousness, I don't know. But there's Rifle Scope in shot, he progressed really well at the end of last year, and I can sort of see why in the parade ring, because he does look to have filled out into a proper sprinter now. He's only just turned 7, and we know these sprinters can be late maturing, and I definitely think that applies to Rifle Scope. The trip's a concern, but given how he looks in the parade ring, he might be able to overcome it.
It's by Ravens Pass, and they do improve with age. Let's bring you some Doncaster form, a moment of madness. Finishing second in the Portland. A lot of people fancy him. He went down to the start early, so no issues. And how would this form match up, do you think?
Oh, look, it's rock solid handicap form in the UK. These 22-runner prestige races are very difficult to win. He actually won this contest 12 months earlier and just failed on this occasion behind Oxted. But you can just see the amount of runners. They're incredibly difficult to win. He did very well in 2018. His mark went up as a result, and last year was a bit treading water in those types of races. But he found his level towards the end, and mark of 97 here. He's certainly below his peak, so you can see why he's of some interest. Charlie Hill's still searching for his first winner here, but only had 11 goes at it, so hardly a damning stat behind him. And yeah, I can sort of see it. Reasonably well handicapped, solid sprinter in the UK. It's that type of race, really, isn't it? There's nothing stand out in terms of being notably progressive, and it might just be the horse that's most consistent or gets the run of things, as is the case with most sprints, that comes out on top.
Caspian Prince has one way of going about things. He will go fast from the front, and it will be a matter of whether or not he can hold on, and that's what he tried to do in the Group 1 Flying 5 Stakes at the Curragh. This was back on Irish Champions Weekend. You made a good point on the winning line. It's only its second year as a Group 1. It's probably in truth a little bit below that level. I
think so, yeah. It's not far before the Abbey, and you've got races like the Nunthorpe in and around there, and Haydock Sprint Cups, etc. So it's a race that tends to stay in Ireland. And he just got run out of it late on, as is his wont, really, in those types of races. He wears his heart on his sleeve. I actually thought he could perhaps sneak away a bit from this field. He could well have a couple of lengths on them, a couple of furlongs out, and it's just a case of whether he can sustain it. One other question mark that came to my mind regards him is that his season was curtailed in September. Given how often he usually races, was it a case of the ground? They didn't want to run him on that back-end autumn ground, or did he have a slight problem? I don't know, but look, he's an admirable servant to well, more to the point, Stephen Louch, who's sent this horse through quite a few yards. He's now with Mick Appleby, still well capable, I think, of a mark of 100.
I think an amazing effort to get to 4 carnivals. We'll just talk a bit more about Pocket Dynamo for your yard, Xavier. He's one of the youngest horses in this race. He's only a 4-year-old, and did he arrive quite late to the yard?
Yes, he arrived late to the yard, but. Look, he's a small horse. I don't think he really needs that much work, so that's why it didn't take long for us to run him. He did a trial in Jebel Ali earlier to check the track. He jumped well, he traveled well all the way. It was not a race, but he showed like he was easy to handle, easy to ride. So that's a good point. Seems like to be relaxed behind the gate. So everything is positive.
Fingers crossed.
And he ran with good horses. I mean,
he
got
has.
By Batash,
Very
by
good
Calix,
form.
and not far from them. So he has quality, I believe. Let's see. It's first run for the yard. So
for race number 2. Gates are back and they're racing. Pocket Dynamo missed the start away quickly. Caspian Prince along with Blueberry. Ambience over on the inside, and holding up is El Manara. Esraco, Trickbag, Portamento, the grey horse with the yellow jacket. Rifle Scope was poorly out, is back over on the inside. They were followed by Rafid, a moment of madness now getting into his stride out in the middle, followed by Pocket Dynamo, and Muda Raffle was back at the rear. Down to the course proper, 520 metres to go, and Caspian Prince, the old boy, just led. Ambience going up to tackle it now. El Manara over on the inside, then Portamento. Blueberry trying to sneak between them. A Moment of Madness out in the middle of the track, followed by Rifle Scope. Front runner is Caspian Prince, led by a neck. Over El Manara, then A Moment of Madness. Portamento, Blueberry are battling away. El Manara getting up on the inside, goes by Caspian Prince. El Manara switching to the turf. It's been a winning switch. El Manara's too good, and El Manara races away by 2.5. Second in is Caspian Prince. Now Blueberry looks to have got third. Just had a Rifle Scope, Portamento, A Moment of Madness, and Esraco caught the eye late, running on very strongly. They were followed next by Rafid. Then came Pocket Dynamo, who blew the start. Trick Bag well back, and Ambience amongst the tail enders with Mutarafa. El Manara, who won on the turf before coming out here, pretty well exclusively on the dirt in the UAE so far, and has acquitted itself well. Switching to the turf here for its first run of the new season by Doug Watson, an astute move. Dane O'Neill took the ride, and El Manara has fought very strongly. The 11-year-old Caspian Prince ran a terrific race in second, and third looks to be Blueberry for Spain, running a terrific race first up. But El Manara will take it out, the 7-year-old, to bring up win at number 4 from 17 career starts, and a second win on the turf.
But yes, first ever run on the turf here in the UAE, a winning surface switch, as Craig said there, for Doug Watson, who often likes his horses to run on the dirt, and indeed he wouldn't have had much of a choice when Al Manara arrived, because there wouldn't have been, I'd say, too many turf opportunities at the time of year that he wanted to run him, and the horse took to the dirt very, very well. But that was impressive, wasn't it? Beating some good European sprinters there.
Yeah, well done to Doug Watson and his team, because, I mean, we don't have really form here, and we don't have really any race to run on the turf in UAE, so before the carnival, I mean. So, yeah, well done to them. Good-looking horse, huh? I remember he beat me on the dirt with Pirates Cove. He's very quick, very, very quick horse.
Yes, Pirates goes pretty quick himself, and you made a good point, Stephen, that perhaps because Al Manara won first up on the dirt, they thought, we'll give him on that. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. I think Doug Watson put him up as a horse to follow the first year he came, and as Xavier said, he duly won very easily. And last year he was just in that sort of grade. He had to run against drafted in the Garhoud sprint first time out, and maybe he's just an out-and-out 5 furlong horse. Of course, we don't have 5 furlongs on the dirt here at Meydan, so they were perhaps trying to stretch him. This was actually his first crack at 5 furlongs for a 7-year-old. That's pretty good going, but no, he's won that fairly decisively. Took a nice lead from Caspian Prince, quick conduct nicely, and we had a Dark Angel win the first. We've now had a half-brother, 2 Dark Angel win the second.
Amazing sire. Al Manara by Shamadal, and they struggled a little bit with him with sore shins, I think, his second season here. They couldn't get him quite right, but he's always been a horse to catch fresh. But the interesting thing is, I don't think this was plan A, because he's had at least 1 entry this season.
Definitely entered, whether he was declared and a non-runner or just didn't declare. But yeah, they certainly considered running him earlier in the season. So find out of Doug Watson whether this was plan B, C or D, or I doubt it was A. Certainly he was shunned by Jim Crowley. But great for Dane O'Neill, who, this time of year he's obviously on the second strings, and Jim Crowley rarely gets it wrong. So nice for him to get a good carnival winner first up. This was off a mark of 93. He'll go up a good few pounds, and he's rated higher on the dirt in the past, so he's sort of getting back to that sort of level, judged on that display.
Yeah, it was a classy performance indeed, and he had a couple of entries. I think he might have been in the Dubawi Stakes as well, Al Manara. So they've obviously sort of given this a lot of thought, and Doug Watson having a fine season here in Dubai. That will take him 2 clear now at the top of the Trainers' Championship, and possibly only for a day before the Arabians swing into action tomorrow and Sortel goes in hot pursuit. But he'll be delighted to have uncovered another, perhaps a sprinting star here. And well done to you if you found him at home at 8-1. And I don't suppose that any of the Europeans were that disappointing, apart from A Moment of Madness, who dropped out quite alarmingly. I thought he was going to win at one stage.
Yeah, he seemed to make his move more towards this near side, didn't he? And eventually faded out of things. And it was perhaps one of those races where those in the sort of 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th categories, they closed late and sort of passed tired horses. Caspian Prince stayed up there throughout. Blueberry, he ran a good race. He was back in 3rd. Rifle Scope did run as though the 5 furlongs just caught him out. I think
Richie was at him from the start, wasn't he?
He missed the break a little bit as well, which he tends to do. So I think back at 6 furlongs, they'll have a competitive carnival with with rifle scope, but this fella, pretty sure he was always well placed and took over from Caspian Prince, who definitely ran his race. But yeah, Moment of Madness, certainly not in the first 6. I just wonder whether making his effort away from the rest of the field has just told on him late on.
Yeah, quite possibly. Portamento's run a normal sort of Portamento race and finished 6th behind Esraco, who filled 5th. That's Mark Connolly, one of Doug Watson's foremen, to the left of the horse, and Noel Connolly, very, very knowledgeable man, Noel. He's Doug's long-time assistant to the right, and they will be delighted. I think they originally planned to run XCR on this card, another very good sprinter in the yard, so they've now got themselves another one, which they will be very happy about indeed. So one for the locals anyway. But we knew Godolphin weren't going to win this because they weren't in it, as Stephen said earlier on. But we'll take another look at the race and see if we can pick out any eye-catchers. Yeah, pretty slowly away was Pocket Dynamo, and a bit of a disaster there for Mikko. You don't want that in a sprint, do you?
Well, yeah, you don't want this start, definitely. But let's see, it was first run in for us, so let's see how we come back and to move forward.
I wouldn't be giving up on him at all. He remains a top-class sprinter. He'll have plenty of options. That's a good thing. There's a lot of sprint races at the Carnival. A Moment of Madness is in the pink to the left. I thought he was travelling very, very nicely at this stage under James Doyle. But they've all kind of the principals have all been sort of on that far side. Almanara was drawn in 1. Caspian Prince, this often happens to him. He just finds 1 too strong in the closing stages. He is very much a 5-furlong horse that doesn't get a great deal further than that, and Rifle Scope has run on, but a classy performance from...
Blueberry ran a good race.
He did run a really good race.
Yeah, he ran a good race. Probably it'll be a bit better on 6 furlong over here, but he has a form on 5 furlong, but it seems like here he probably needs 6 because he finished well. Good looking horse.
Yeah, again, he's quite a big horse, as we heard earlier on. He might just take a little bit fitness rise from that. It was his first run in 74 days. Blueberry, there's dear old Caspian Prince. I expect he'll be kept quite busy throughout the Carnival. But Almanara, who I think has probably been a bit frustrating for Doug. I think he's a horse they've always held in very high regard. And last year, as Stephen mentioned, things just didn't go quite right for him. He was getting beaten at a lower level than this, really. They tried a few different things with him, stretching him out to 1,400 metres. But maybe it was just a question of trip with him, because he's always travelled beautifully into his races. And I always thought, must be a lovely horse for a jockey to ride. And then just wasn't quite getting home. So we'll find out from Doug whether he thinks it's the surface or the distance that made the difference. But Dane O'Neill enjoying an okay-ish season here in the UAE. He's Highness Sheikh Hamdan enjoying a very good season here in the UAE. It currently sits second in the Owners' Championship behind Khalid Khalifa Al Nabuda. And he won this race last year with Fatana, who was accepted for the Carnival, but I don't believe is going to arrive unless he arrives right at the end. And he's always done very well with sprinters, of course. But let's hear from Winning Connections.
Yeah, just a quick word. I'm joined by Doug Watson, victorious, with Almanara. Was that plan A, B, C or D?
It could have been D, I don't know. No, we were talking about his work at home has just been okay. He used to work really, really well on the dirt. His runs last year, he didn't run a bad race, but he just wasn't firing like we thought he could. And we thought we'd try him on the turf one time, and obviously it worked out very nicely, so we'll keep him there. But again, sometimes in America they got a little theory of turf to dirt. So in my head I was thinking, we'll give him a run here, see how he goes, get him fit, his first run of the year, first run in a long time. And then maybe go back to the dirt if he doesn't win, but I think we'll stay here now.
Of course, when they're so impressive on the dirt, you probably believe that you have to stick with that surface, don't you? I do, yeah. That's kind of my theory all the time. So the race came up, and he looked like he fit, and you know, he hasn't been training poorly. He just hasn't been firing in his work at home on the dirt. So we thought we'd give him a little change of pace, and it worked out well. So I get a lot of nice horses for Sheikh Hamdan, so it's nice to get a Carnival win for him here. Were you pleased enough with Rio Angie earlier? I was. You know, we had 8 weeks in between, and she does so much on the bridle at home so easily. She had a good blow coming off, not taking anything away from the second and the winner, but I think we'll come on a little bit. She scoped good after the race, and, you know, it's 3 weeks back. I didn't want to wind her up too much and
have her overfit for this, and then 3 weeks back to the Guineas. That's our main plan. Hopefully that it goes as planned, and we come back there, and she'll be ready for that.
I know you've got 2 in the next, but I want to ask you about Drafted. Just how much of a setback did he have? Did it put you off track too much? I know you missed the Garhoud.
It has put us off the track. He's got bad feet. He had hind quarter cracks last year. He's got a front quarter crack now. He's had a great 2 weeks, we have to run where we have to run. He wouldn't be 100% fit right now, but he's still in great order, put on a good weight. Looks a lot stronger this year, and I think the pace will set up for him, and if he's got his kick, he should come home all right.
Well, great start to the Carnival. Wish you all the best with the rest of the runners tonight.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
A little bit of pressure off the Red Stables handler then. Doug Watson gets a winner on the board earlier than perhaps he might have expected, although he did, of course, have high hopes for Rio Angie, but he's ever so helpful and candid, saying that wasn't really the plan A for Almanara. There is designer Sheikh Hamdan's.
Drafted returns in 2020 with some unfinished business. The grey son of Field Commission could manage only 5th in the Golden Shaheen on World Cup night, but he may have gone a lot closer if it wasn't for some interference at the start.
It was a bad draw for him. He hates the kickback. When he gets the kickback, he doesn't have that. He broke too good on the night, and so he was up in there, and then when they started to pull away, he just got the brunt of the kickback, and he doesn't go forward in it, and he needs to go forward as much as he can so that his kick isn't too long. He flew home, and he's a nice horse and gives you 100% every time.
Before all of that, Drafted cemented himself as the best dirt sprinter trained in the UAE. He beat a strong field in the Al Shindaga sprint before once again showing some breathtaking acceleration to swoop late and fast in the Mahab Al Shamal on Super Saturday.
Drafted out wider on the track. Drafted has momentum. Comes up on the outside of 9 Below Zero, who fights hard. Tato Key between them. Drafted 9 Below Zero. Drafted pulled to the front, pulled away, and Drafted wins by a half over 9 Below Zero.
Thursday sees Drafted make his seasonal debut in the Dubawi Stakes, a race in which he was beaten 12 months ago. His late finishing kick came all too late after getting pinned behind some retreating horses. This time around, things are likely to be different, and his trainer is very happy with the way he's training.
He had him last year. He's got fragile feet, but he's coming along nicely and worked very well. And, things are going well with him. I think once we get his feet completely sorted out, he'll be a force again this year, hopefully.
The races on the road to the Golden Shaheen should be Drafted's for the taking once again. With a fast pace almost guaranteed, Drafted can be a Maidan marvel.
As we go through the race card, but number 1 is New Trails for Conor Beasley and Ahmed Bin Hamish. 2, Salter in Dubai, the mount of Richie Mullen. 3, Manguzi, Ali Rashid Al Rahi and Fernando Hara. 4 is Montserrat for Mikhail Barcelona. 5 is one of those non-runners. 6, Tried and True for Sam Hitchcott and Doug Watson. 7 is Above Normal, Tygo Shea and Satish Seemar. 8, Dubai Icon, the mount of Rowan Scott. 9 is Festival Ages. Fabrice Veron rides first start for Ishmael Mohammed. 10 is Furnace, or was Furnace, doesn't go now. 11, Grand Argentier. 12 is Piece of History, another non-runner. And finally, Sendid for Antonio Fresu. And Saeed Bin Sarur got the visor on for the first time.
Yeah, looking forward to this race immensely. The kind of race Doug Watson is more familiar with winning, really, you could say. And wonderful to see dear old Grand Argentier make it back into the Carnival after almost being sold at the end of season sale last year. He represents our biggest syndicate here. New Trails, this is a good horse. He ran in the Dubai World Cup. Can he improve on that effort last time in the Entazar?
Well, I believe. I mean, that's why Ahmed probably ran him tonight. He probably wasn't ready first time of the season, but he's probably more happy now with him. Good looking horse.
Gorgeous looking horse. He did win first up last season, but that was in a much lower level. And so ended up in the Dubai World Cup and was pretty much put in his place then by Thunder Snow, but did come back with a little bit of an injury, so excuses. This is Sultar in Dubai, who I think is a pretty consistent horse, and he ran a good second behind Military Law in the Entazar last time. Ali, a little bit, didn't want to sort of heap too much on his chances there, but he's a solid horse.
Yeah, definitely a solid chance. finished second, beat Gorongowski. Gorongowski was third in this race. Probably a horse who's going to go forward. Don't be surprised to see him leading again tonight. We wish him a good luck, because
he could well win this, I think. I mean, as you say, that form ahead of Gronkowski is strong. He's a big horse himself, who will have taken plenty of benefit from that run. And technically, this is a drop in grade. He also beat Montserrat last year, a horse you know well.
Well, I know him well, yeah. I finished sixth with him in the Maktoum Challenge, third round of the Maktoum Challenge. I went with him first time his first winner was with me in UAE. He's a great horse, He's in good form. Let's see tonight, but he's in good form.
This is Manguzi, who Jelani Siddiqui, Ali Al-Rahi's assistant, said is their best chance of the weekend, which I wrote down on a piece of paper because I thought that is really interesting information, bearing in mind they've got a lot of runners, including Tamil later on. Anyway, Manguzi's having his third start of the season. He was a star last year, finishing third in the UAE Derby behind Plica Parfait. Bit disappointing first up, perhaps, in that listed Entazar when he finished behind Saltar in Dubai. And they backed him up relatively quickly and ran him behind Secret Ambition in the Dubai Creek Mile. And there is dear old Montserrat. As we said, you know him incredibly well. I'm a bit surprised we haven't seen him so far this season. Has everything been okay with him?
Yeah,
Is it still with the
been
target?
okay. We just took a bit longer with him, but everything was fine.
And do you think he's won 2 Jebel Ali stakes? Is he better at Jebel Ali?
Well, I don't think. I mean, he loves Jebel Ali. He's good in Jebel Ali, but he show quality also in Medan. But same again. This horse has to have the perfect race. Unfortunately, tonight we don't have a very good draw. But if he's right and he's in a good mood, he can do it.
I don't think Mikel's ridden him that much, has he? He was second on him behind Saltar in Dubai, but mostly it's you and Royston that ride in. This is Tried and True, who won a very good race as part of the card that Doug Watson swept all before him, winning all 6 races. He beat Walk in the Sun, who himself has been well beaten since, but we know Walk in the Sun's a good horse, and I think Tried and True has a big chance here.
Yeah, he went well. He beat Walk in the Sun. He beat me as well. I was on BDB at this night.
Yeah, your favourite horse, Bois de Boulogne.
But he is a solid chance as well. 53.5 on his back. So.
I wouldn't rule him out at all. Sam Hitchcock riding Tried and True because a lot of the horses in here are wrong at the weights, and Pat Dobbs wouldn't have been able to get down to 53.5, so he is the first string for the yard, I would assume. This is Above Normal, who we'll get more on Stephen on him later because he quite fancies him, but he ran a very good race last time behind Golden Goal, who himself is carnival bound, and this fellow ran on really well. And if you look back through his form, the best of his efforts have come when he's got a light weight, and he has just 53 kilos this evening. Dubai Icon was favourite at one stage for this race in the UK, which surprised me a little bit because he's far from guaranteed to adapt to this dirt. His dam is a full sister to Street of Dreams, who won round here on the dirt at Meydan. But he's by New Approach, who wouldn't have the best record on it. And for all that we've just seen earlier on, how adept Saeed is with his dirt horses, winning with the filly. A few things to be just taken on trust with him, having his first start since winning at York back in October. And this is Festival of Ages, who goes for Ismail Mohammed here. The yard have had a relatively quiet start to the campaign, which is often the case. And this guy drops down in trip from running over 3,600 metres. He'd be a bit of a surprising winner, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I think he's going to be surprised with the pace tonight.
Yeah, I think
it's a big horse, huh?
He is a big horse, isn't he? Son of Madagliador. I mean, he's dirt bred, so it makes a lot of sense running him on this surface, and you can't go further than 2,000 metres on the dirt at the carnival. So they're kind of having to run where they have to run. And Grand Argentier picked up a good race over 2,000 metres, beating Furnas, as we said earlier on. Brett Doyle rides for the very first time for EERC, and he's another one who he doesn't now have to lead, but he does sit forward. And the remarkable thing that the Doug Watson yard have reported this year is that at the age of 8, Grand Argentier is looking better than ever. They've somehow managed to turn a corner with him physically, and they're very happy with him. And I wouldn't rule him out. He went up £4 for that win last time, and so he just seems to be a bit more tractable with age. It was the case that he kind of needed to go out in front, not the case anymore. See it from Stephen.
I'm joined by Justin Byrne of the EERC, of course, saddle Grand Argentier in this. been there, done it before. Looks very solid, but you believe better than ever potentially this year?
Yeah, I think he's improved. As I mentioned when we were on the TV, when he was gelded the year after that, he just seemed to not drop away, but he lost a bit of condition, and he didn't put it on that whole season. And then during the summer this year, he's strengthened up. He looks a lot stronger horse. So I just said to Brett, he's won off 94 in the past. I mean, I know with handicap changes today, he's officially running off 95, but if he gets into a rhythm, he's got a good chance.
Mr. Simon, it was obviously a listed race, well worth winning. He went from the front, and I think you might have hassled him a bit on, was it Talento Puma that you rode in this race?
I was next to him all the way.
Yeah, and he ran perfectly creditably. Kind of think this is his mark. His last 2 wins, I think, have come off 102, so might just find 1 or 2 too good. But it was another good effort. You had Manguzi back in third there, who's back in fifth, beg your pardon, who's run again since behind Secret Ambition. But Sultan Dubai is just one of those rock-solid horses. These handicaps sit nicely for him. He's got the early speed, and he kind of just grinds it out. It's just a case of whether something's just got that bit too much speed for him late on.
And what do we make about New Trails off that effort last time? It was easy to be disappointed, but I think you said at the time, you know, obviously bigger targets later on, and the yard form wasn't great at that stage.
No, I think...
Carnival Gates are back and they're racing, and Dubai Icon jipped at the start, missed it by 3 lengths, and having to be chased up as Manguzi began well. Sendid over on the inside. Driving through now is Festival of Ages. It gets up between horses and takes on the front. New Trails is going to try and slot across their tails. They were followed by Grandon Gentier. Next of all then is Sultana Dubai. Now improving was Dubai Icon through on the inside, then above Normala, Tried and True, and they went back to the rear with Montserrat. It settles at the tail of the field. 25.56 as they turn into the back inside 1,400 metres to go. Festival of Ages shows the way. 1.25 lengths over Sendid in second. Manguzi up on the outside of Grandon Gentier. Next of all is New Trails, just having to be heeled along a fraction. Over on its inside is Dubai Icon. Then came next of all Sultana Dubai, Tried and True, Montserrat, and above Normal over on the outside of the rear. About to turn off the back straight now with 900 metres to go. And the front runner here is Festival of Ages, and extends out by 4 lengths over Sendid, who's run its race. Manguzi the chaser after this leader now, and New Trails goes with it, and Grandon Gentier picking up ground. Next of all is Sultana Dubai, then Dubai Icon, Montserrat above Normala, and Tried and True in the yellow tries to pick up ground. Festival of Ages the leader, 550 metres to go as they turn in. Festival of Ages over New Trails around the outside of Manguzi. Running into it is Sultana Dubai under persuasion. Over on the inside, Grandon Gentier. Dubai Icon's badly strung up between them as above Normal runs down the outside. Festival Ages has got the stitch here. Joining it out in the middle is Sultana Dubai, but here comes above Normal with a booming run. Above Normal goes up Sultana Dubai. Dubai Icon running a mighty race, gets into the clear and finishes on, and Grandon Gentier over on the inside. Above Normal reaches the lead. Above Normal over Sultana Dubai. Grandon Gentier, Montserrat late on the inside. They hit it. Grandon Gentier might have nosed out above Normal, and a great finish. Sultana Dubai, Montserrat a breath away, and Dubai Icon a huge run. They were followed by New Trails. Next in was Manguzi, Tried and True. Next across the line was Festival of Ages. It's pulled up quickly after leading, and last in was Sendid. Photo call, great finish. I think Grandon Gentier. That was my initial thought. With the naked eye, we'll have a look at the slow-mo replay and see what that says. Above Normal charged up on the outside of Sultana Dubai. Looked like either one of those would probably win it inside the final 100 metres. Grandon Gentier and Montserrat was a cheeky run over on the inside, but it will be Grandon Gentier for Brett Doyle and Doug Watson to win in an absolute blanket go. Above Normal to run second. Probably Sultana Dubai for third, but it's very tight with Montserrat and Dubai Icon, who got dropped on its nose at the 300 metres. Having his first go on the dirt has been more than encouraging behind them. 1:59.33 is the winner's time. 1:59.33. We stand by for the numbers after the third race.
What a great finish. We don't often see that on the dirt. It was almost like the finish to a turf sprint handicap. So close between them all. But Grandon Gentier is a thoroughly reliable horse, and he will have the many owners in ERC celebrating long and loud this evening. They will be absolutely delighted. I thought it was going to go to Satish Seemar above Norman and Sultara in Dubai for him, really battling it out. And your horse, Xavier Montserrat, so unlucky, wasn't he?
Yeah, so unlucky. Half of the bend, he could not go anywhere. He had to wait a lot. But he finished well. Look, first run of the season, so it's encouraging for the race for next time.
You see, Brett Doyle almost couldn't use his whip there. He got stuck in Richie Mullen's.
Is that what it was? I thought the saddle had slipped or something.
No.
It didn't look comfortable at all, did it?
There just wasn't enough room for him, I think, to use his whip properly, and it hit Richie rather than his own horse. But obviously didn't stop him from winning. And yeah, like you say, a very, very strange race. I think you say the ERC was shouting, but you almost couldn't hear them. It was almost like a stunned belief that the horse was actually coming and winning, because you can see he was not necessarily out the back, but midfield and off the bridle, which is not really his way of running, but he's really poked his head through there. And the four of them are finished within about a neck. They'll probably barely go up a pound between them, and we'll be set for the same race in a couple of weeks' time, and then the same race in the listed curling handicap towards the end of the carnival.
It was a really interesting race to watch, because the horses that we thought would go forward didn't necessarily. I thought Sultara in Dubai, Grand Argentier would be on the lead, but Fabrice Veron, knowing that his horse stays 2 miles and then some, was straight out in front on Festival of Ages, who actually has dropped out quite tamely and alarmingly in the end, but actually ran a good race for a long way. And your tip above Normal nearly did it, didn't he?
Yeah, I was shouting him on shamelessly there. He came with his run, he hit the front, and we just thought that was it. But whether the trip in the end, 1900 metres, just got to him, the way the race was run in particular, Tig might, being the perfectionist, suggest that he got there too soon. But still a great run, another great run from Satish Seemar's Sultara in Dubai as well. That photo for third still ongoing between him and Montserrat. And Dubai Icon's actually run well in fifth in the end as well for Godolphin. He took a while to get used to the dirt surface, but come home quite nicely. But it was that sort of race where maybe there was a bit of cheap late headway to be had, and potentially Dubai Icon was one of those that benefited from it.
I got one thing right this evening. I didn't think Dubai Icon would win that race, and he didn't. Maybe I should just tip horses not to win. There is Justin Byrne at the back of the horse, who we bought him back at the end of season sale last year. He would have looked a little foolish had the horse gone and won on the carnival for someone else.
Yeah, I mean, look, the reserve didn't go very high, or the price didn't go very high. I'm pretty sure they'd have had him in at a fair old whack of a price there and got their money's worth. But yeah, even if he'd gone for 300,000-400,000 dirhams, he'd be feeling a bit sick now, given how the horse has progressed. But you know, syndicates need to buy and sell horses to keep afloat and restock. But yeah, thankfully they kept hold of this one. And you know, as you said earlier, that they've not had the greatest year last year. Perhaps they've started this season very well, and just getting new stock in and out. And I think they'll have Layeth running next week, which they'll be looking forward to. And it's been an excellent start for them.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better if you're in a syndicate than have a carnival win. And when we look at the race again, we'll pick up the hard luck story, who undoubtedly was Montserrat. This happened last time Grand Argentier won, that there were lots of people here for ERC, but none of them actually in this horse. Hopefully a few more people are this time. But he's one of these funny horses, isn't he? And ERC tend to do this quite often. He's got no right to be a dirt horse by Palace Episode. Yeah, the best Palace Episode, I think.
Palace Episode didn't have many runners as a side. It was he the horse that won the Racing Post Trophy or something. And yeah, he's not had a massive amount of success. In fact, Grand Argentier could easily be the best horse that he's produced. But one thing that Palace Episode did do was he went in the soft ground, and he was a relentless galloper. I'm not saying soft ground horses automatically go on the dirt, but they are fairly relentless, and that was the case with this performance. As we take it from the start, and Dubai Icon was the one that missed the break. Grand Argentier didn't have a lot of early speed, but Festival of Ages did, and he was the one that took them along. As you said, the first three at that time were the least likeliest leaders for me at any point.
Yeah, Manguzi's again been disappointing. Sendidi Shizay in second there, and Dubai Icon actually does deserve plenty of credit for finishing fifth after missing the break. And for a horse having his first start on dirt, he's faced all the kickback there. Montserrat was sort of widest of all, breaking from 12, but obviously Mikhail decided to go to the rail, which ultimately hasn't been a good place to be, because he's ended up being quite boxed in, hasn't he? Which you can't predict as a jockey, but it's not ideal.
Well, look, but he's a bit away from the kickback at the rail, so he could have, but earlier of the trip, the horse wasn't really in the game, you know. It was. But then from here, he started to
travelling
pick up.
beautifully, isn't he?
Yes.
But he's got absolutely nowhere to go, which is unfortunate. And he would have been hoping people were going to sort of drop back around him, but he's actually followed the winner through, Grand Argentier, and it's just had absolutely no
Nowhere
running
to
room
go.
at all. Meanwhile, up front, Festival of Ages still going okay at this point. I did think for a brief second, is he going to hang on, which would have been quite remarkable. And they've really had to dig deep, these horses. As you can see above normal, when we get the trackers data for this race, it will say he went an awful lot further than some of the others. Sultana Dubai in the noseband has come through as if he's going to win. Even New Trails, who was off the bridle a long way out, has come on nicely. But Montserrat now finally has racing room, but it's too late.
Yeah.
Really.
But look, it's a good run,
luck.
first time of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll come on a lot for this. And Dubai Icon, yeah, I agree with Stephen. Eye-catching run, that. He obviously has handled the surface better than I thought, and just looking a little bit uneasy over the line there, but looked after by Fabrice Ferroni's Festival of Ages. So a great night for Doug Watson so far, perhaps not with the horses he would have expected. An old boy as well, Grand Argentier, 9 years old now. A super purchase for the EERC a few years ago. This is his 4th win here in the UAE from 28 starts, and he had been at the Carnival before two seasons ago and just didn't really cut it, didn't seem quite good enough. Dropped out of Carnival contention, and then that win last time of a mark of 89, which came back at the start of December, saw him go at the £4 that he needed to be back in this grade. And these are generally, these 1900 metre, 2000 metre races are among the weaker divisions at the Carnival. I think it's fair to say. Godolphin aren't often so strong in this, and we do lack the internationals, certainly this year when we don't as yet have any Americans here. But that's good for everyone who has horses and supports racing locally. These are the races that Satish Seemar and Doug Watson are trying to win, and indeed your yard as well, because fair to say really that Salem is very, very good with, in particular, dirt horses, isn't he?
Yeah. Look, Salem learned with Sheikh Rashid and Satish. So they were really, and Sheikh Rashid was really focusing on American horses, so they learned a lot with him.
Not sure what we make of New Trails after this. I still think the yard are yet to really find their form at Med Bin Hamash. They've just been under a bit of a cloud. Hopefully things will turn for them soon, because they're a powerful yard and they are adept at training racehorses. Things just not quite right there at the moment, I don't think, but I'm sure he's a better horse than he's been able to show here. New Trails did have a lot of weight as well, we should point out, 60 kilos, giving the rest of the field at least 2, which doesn't make things easy at all.
It's always hard when you have a good season to repeat the year after. I mean, the horse ran really well last year. I mean, all the year.
Here for His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum. 2, his major partnership. 3, Zenhom, the mount of Antonio Fresu. 4, Championship, has his first start in a handicap since 2016. 5, his Legendary Lunch, reappearing for Fauzi Nas. 6, Flight Dawn. 7 is Lansky. 8, Soudois, the class act in the race, hence the top weight, the 9-year-old ridden by Danny Tudhope. 9 is Dubai Legacy, Christophe Soumillon getting down to near his minimum weight of 55 kilos. 10 is Invali, happier back on the grass. And finally, Asmam, the mount of Seshpiam Monsieur Musaba Al Maheri, also training that one. They're all in draw order for our upcoming listed handicap.
Yeah, one of, I think, 7 listed handicaps we now have at the Carnival. We just had the one before, which was the curling handicap, but have several races receiving upgrades this year, which is rather nice to see. And Musaba Al Maheri, who we just heard from with Ibn Malik, could actually potentially win this with Zainhom, or more likely Asmam. Both of those would have a sort of outside chance. And your yard well represented here, Salem bin Gidea, with Lansky. Now, I think this fella's going to be much happier back on the turf.
Yes, definitely. Like, his first run for the yard was a Group 3, and he finished 3rd. It was a very promising run.
Major Partnership, who won at last year's Carnival, providing jockey Kevin Stott with his first winner here in the UAE. Pat Cosgrave rides him today, and 54.5 kilos is pretty light for Pat, who's a big part of Said bin Suroor's work riding team in the mornings. And he was a bit of a surprising winner when he popped up and beat Above and Beyond here, Major Partnership. Because the time before he'd been well held over the same course and distance behind Escalator. I don't think the drop down in trip will be too much of a problem for Major Partnership, and he wouldn't at all be a surprising winner. Yard obviously in very good form He's a pound lighter as well. Pound lower, sorry, than when he won that race last year. What do you think about Zainom here? He's a bit of a tricky horse, isn't he? But he did win at Jebel Ali earlier this season.
Yeah, he won in lower level in Jebel Ali, front of Ariditi, so it's not a really high-class horse.
No.
But he had a good run behind Shifdom as well in Jebel Ali. And, well, look, 53 kilo on his back. Let's see.
Yeah, I think he's a little tricky. When he beat, as you say, Ariditi, which wasn't a great race, he did have the visor on for the first time, which Masaba has used really quite effectively this season. 3 or 4 winners with first-time visor. Pat Cosgrave and Christoph Sumian there. And Connor Beasley and Danny Tudhope. Top jockey from Europe, indeed had a good go at the... Didn't he?
He ran well. Actually, the jockey rode a good race.
Sandro Pava, huge win for him.
Yeah, he rode him really perfectly. He travelled behind the lead, the rail open, he went on the inside, and he saved, like, he kicked early and he stayed on that. So now it's another level, I mean.
Yeah. He's had quite a hike in the weights as well, up 7 pounds for that win. Rightly so, really, beating Golden Jaguar, one of the stars of last year's carnival. And over a trip that I never really thought he was best over, 1,600 metres. I always thought was about as far as Tamal ever wanted to go. I think he's better over this trip. So they suddenly have found the key to him. Then Group 2 Zabeel Mile. And last season, his form was actually very good. He was only 4 1/4 lengths behind Dubai here in the Al Fahidi Fort. Then after that, it tailed off a little bit. But it was a run full of promise at Abu Dhabi last time. When only beaten 6 lengths behind Tamal. And he will have improved a lot for that effort. So we'll see him in action later on and show you that bit of form from Abu Dhabi. Let's have a look at 05, who is Legendary Lunch, who won a President's Cup at Abu Dhabi 3 starts ago, which was also back in February. That was under Harry Bentley. Tiger Shea rides tonight for Fawzi Nas. Just a bit of a concern that he's been off since April. Fawzi's horses often need a run, don't they?
Yeah, I believe too. I believe so.
Yeah, Adri de Vries was riding this one the other morning and said, sort of implied that the horse would probably need his first run of the campaign. Nice spare ride for our 7-time champion jockey Tiger Shea, though, here. And this is Fly at Dawn, who's now joined the Ismail Mohammed team. Used to be with Charlie Appleby. He's been off for the best part of a year, 336 days. He's a winner here at Meydan. That came in the 2017 UAE Guineas trial. He's a horse who's mixed dirt and turf quite well throughout his career. There's 2 wins on the turf and 1 on the dirt so far, and indeed 1 on the all-weather. So he's a versatile sort. I don't see him winning this, though. Ismail's team yet to really hit full stride for the season. Looks well enough, though, by Discreet Cat. Over to you for Lansky. He's also, I think, travels very nicely in his races.
Yes, he loves to travel on the bridle. And again, if he can repeat the first run he did for the yard last season, it can be very dangerous.
I agree. That was an amazing first run for you in as you say, very good group company. He hasn't actually won since October of 2017. But let's hear more from Stephen.
Yeah, I'm joined by Fawzi Nas, who saddles Legendary Lunch in our upcoming race. Good to see you, Fawzi. Has it been a bit of a rush to get the horse here for this race? I thought we might have seen him at Abu Dhabi by now.
The plan was to see him at Abu Dhabi.
In a race where not many got into. Adjwad in the orange was always up there. He faded out of things. The eventual second Golden Jaguar comes through from midfield. But no, it's a good ride from the front, and Tamal's well drawn to try and pull off something different, something similar here. It's not as easy around Meydan to make all the running. He always looked like holding on, the length and a quarter to win the listed race. He's gone up 7 pounds as a result. I mean, a lot depends on whether he's one of those horses that's just really benefited from the summer. If he's a completely different horse to last year, then he could easily follow up. My concern was he had enough chances off lower marks last year to think that he might struggle here, and off lower dirt marks as well. Look, at the end of the day, this is his ideal conditions, 1,400 metres on turf, and he wouldn't often have had those sorts of conditions. So I can easily see him running another big race. I suspect Jim Crawley will probably quite keen to just get maybe a lead on this occasion off Championship more than anything, simply because it is that bit harder, I think, to make the running on the turf here than compared to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, I agree. You do need a lot of luck around Abu Dhabi. This is our lone international in the race, our lone proper international, really, Suede War. Gorgeous horse, and he really sort of found his best form last year at the age of 8. Not that he'd gone off the boil completely, but he just sort of suddenly stepped it up another gear. This is the Shadwell Turf Mile over at Keeneland in the States, where a race which he'd actually won in 2013. He finishes third, finishes like a train behind Bowie's Hero. This is quite the step down in grade, really, isn't it, Xavier? He's a listed race today. It should, in theory, it should be easy for Suede War, but it's not. It's not that simple.
But 60 kilo as well on his back.
Yeah.
So it's an handicap. It gives advantage to the horses who's carrying lighter weight than him. But the horse look good.
It does look good.
Been clipped. Looks good.
And David O'Moran not here this evening?
No, he's not here. A bit of a surprise, because Suede would have been one of his best horses. So you often think when a trainer runs their best horses, they're always there. But look, busy time of year in England. We're only January the 2nd, so maybe this is just teeing him up for the Zabeel Mile or perhaps the 7 furlong race.
He's nearly all in. Let's hear from Craig Evans once again.
Barrier blanket for Dubai Legacy, already a 4-time winner. Now Championship coming up towards the gates in the white and maroon. Dubai Legacy, Simeon and Ibn Sarur looking for their second winner of the night. Legendary Lunch for Tiger O'Shea coming along, so to Imberley. At the back is Asmam to come forward and Fly at Dawn. So we're almost set. Dubai Legacy, a quite dominant international favourite. As Asmam goes forward, Fly at Dawn will be the next, and we'll be right to go. Starter in position, 1,400 metres for the Meydan Challenge. They're all set. Now they're racing. Straight out the back was Asmam, and also slowly away Imberley. It'll go back towards the tail. Tamol began well, went straight to the lead. Into second position is Major Partnership, and now Championship pushing up on the outside. Sudwara fraction wide early from Legendary Lunch. Next of all is Zainahom. Going up deeper, Asmam after a poor start. Then came Lansky, Fly at Dawn. Getting back in the field, Dubai Legacy trying to slot across behind the pack, and Imberley was at the rear. Down the side they turn, 25.62 is the lead, and Tamo shows the way for Jim Crowley. Up on the outside, Championship in second. Sudwar is around the outside third, followed by Major Partnership. Asmam, the red cap, going up deeper. Between them is Zainahom, then Lansky, Fly at Dawn. Imberley and Dubai Legacy sees the entire field as they come to the top of the straight. Tamo shows the way, out by just on a half length over Championship. Sudwar up on the outside, now revved up. Wider is Asmam as they turn in their Major Partnership, followed then by Zainahom. Dubai Legacy is going to have to try and pick a passage through, and Legendary Lunch is down the outside as Tamo giving a little. Major Partnership getting up on the inside. Sudwar is right there and out wide as Zainahom, then Dubai Legacy. Major Partnership sneaks up on the inside, went to the lead. Charging home is Zainahom down the outside, but Major Partnership races clear. Major Partnership a length and a quarter. Second Zainahom. Sudwar stayed on well for third, just ahead of Tamol, and close up on the outside was Dubai Legacy. Next in was Asmam. They were followed by Championship, Lansky, Legendary Lunch, Imberley, and back at the tail was Fly at Dawn. Rails hugging ride there by Pat Cosgrave. Major Partnership, the early double for Saeed bin Sarur. And that Major Partnership has been able to take it out in its second win here at Meydan from its 5th start at the track. Didn't have any luck whatsoever in its 2 runs in the summer into autumn back home. It struck a lot of trouble at Ascot and also at Lingfield. But a beautiful ride there by Cosgrave, and Major Partnership rails through, takes it out. Zainahom covered ground, terrific run. Gets into second, and Sudwar has fought on strongly into third. We stand by for all the numbers after the Meydan Challenge.
Well, a big win for Pat Cosgrave, who wasn't on the first string here for Saeed bin Sarur, but as Craig said there, he's ridden this horse beautifully to give the Grey his second win here in the UAE. And he's a versatile enough animal, because his last one came over a bit further than this, over a mile, when he beat Above and Beyond off a mark of 98, just a pound higher today, and 4.5 kilos was light enough for Pat, who hasn't been all that well this week, he tells me. He's had a bout of flu earlier on, so he'll be feeling an awful lot better now, and he's had a quite enough season. That's just his 4th winner, Xavier? That's great.
4th winner tonight. So I'm sure he's happy to have a winner on a Carnival day.
Absolutely, and he gave him a beautiful ride, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, he's a very good jockey, very tough pusher. I mean, whenever you're next to him fighting for the win, it's very hard to pass. So he deserves better than what he has now. He deserves more winner.
Yeah, he had a bit of a troubled start to the season. He arrived to ride for Hilal Al Alawi, and that went awry for whatever reason. And luckily, he's always had a strong partnership with Saeed bin Suroor, ridden out for him in the mornings. That's where he's based. So he'll be over the moon to have won on this horse, the son of Ifraj, who's such a good sire here in the UAE. He gets winners on dirt and turf. And local form to the 4 to some extent, Stephen, with Zayn Hom finishing second. Who'd have thought that?
Yeah, great run from Zayn Hom, who was back on the turf. He'd run well behind Tarmol last time in that Abu Dhabi race that we assessed beforehand, but good effort from him. Major Partnership, not the easiest to predict, is he? He was, I think, about 33 to 1 when he won at the Carnival here last year, as he said, fallen to a similar sort of mark, but he'd only had 2 starts in the UK, so one of those horses that Saeed can keep fresh and bring out to Dubai on
Championship was eye-catching enough. Lansky in the white has sort of ended up wider than all of the others in the end, as he's tried to sort of go round everyone and conjure a winning run from that one. Hasn't worked out. Tamol's run well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's upheld that Abu Dhabi form quite well.
Yeah.
Good performance from him, but Major Partnership with the benefit of the rail and a light enough weight goes on
I
and
was
claims
looking
his
at Dubai
second
Legacy.
victory. Yeah.
He struggled in the bend. It looked like he didn't find his action in the bend, but still he finished well, I mean.
Yeah, as Stephen mentioned, he might not be the easiest horse to perhaps deal with. Only just sort of scrambled home last time at Newmarket Dubai Legacy, and as you said before, he's very much bred for the dirt, being by Discreet Cat out, but is now mare. Do you think maybe Saeed will be tempted to try that now with him?
Well, I mean, I don't know. If I was on the position of Saeed with this breeding, I will try him. Definitely.
Yeah, so would I. And Saeed will pretty much try most of his horses on the dirt. And it's Tony Howarth, assistant to Saeed, who's going up to pick up the...
The Group 3 Dubawi Stakes is synonymous with one horse, Reynaldo the Wizard. The son of Speightstown cost Connection $775,000 as a 2-year-old, and he went on to show some promise while trained by Owen Harty in the US. When switched to Satish Samara as a 4-year-old in 2010, he rose rapidly through the handicap ranks and went on to win the Group 1 Golden Shaheen in 2013. The first of his 3 Dubawi Stakes wins amazingly came as a 9-year-old in 2015. He did it in the style of a sprinter half his age. Switched off heels by regular jockey Richie Mullen, the pair loomed alongside Muarab and sprinted clear for a very impressive win.
They spin around the bend and past the 400. Muarab out in the middle of the track, went to the lead easily. Muanid gives chase. Ronaldo the Wizard's gone back to the inside. He's running on strongly, the old boy. Ronaldo's hit the front. Abracadabra. Ronaldo the Wizard, age will not weary. He's drawing away from Muarab, and this is a big, big win. He's back.
The last of Reynaldo's Dubawi Stakes came aged 11. The 10-time Meydan winner is now enjoying his well-earned retirement under the care of Godolphin in England. A true UAE racing legend.
Yeah, Reynaldo the Wizard, a horse that Richie Mullen will long remember after he retires. A good winner of several Dubawi Stakes, and Satish Semar's got a couple of chances of $120,000, $200,000 on offer on total, 1,200 metres on the dirt. The conditions for this race, all 9 of them thankfully hold their ground, and they're headed by the aforementioned Lava Spin Progressive last year prior to the Mahab Al Shamal. Richie Mullen rides on his return. Neverland Rock goes to Salem, Bingadere and Royston French. 3 is 9 Below Zero. We heard from Faustinas earlier, expects him to be fitter this time around. 4 is Walking Thunder. Ahmed bin Hamash and Connor Beasley, the team there. Wadi has had a good start to the season so far, winning a handicap, was second to Ibn Malik in the listed Garhoud sprint last time. Dane O'Neill in search of a double. 6 he's drafted, first start of the season for him. Doug Watson expecting that he will improve for the outing, having missed his intended reappearance. Gladiator King is the second highest rated horse in the field, off a mark of 109. Mikhail Barcelona, a rare ride for the Satish Simar yard. 80's Tour to Paris. Pia Brandt are having a crack on the dirt with this one. And finally, Ibn Malik, who won the trial in decisive fashion. Jim Crowley on board for Masaba Al Maheri.
Super race, it really is. I wouldn't be too keen to dismiss that many of them. Maybe Neverland Rock, who's around 20 to 1, and Tour to Paris, who's a lot shorter, would be a couple I'd be less keen on, but it really is a race that's brought together some of the main sort of local form lines from the sprinting ranks, and also some internationals as well into here, and interesting to see how they go. When I say internationals, we only really got Pia Brandt's Tour to Paris, but we have a few interesting new recruits to the Satish Simar yard this year. One this evening, and the fact he was quite well held on his one try on it in a lesser race over there. That's actually only beaten only beaten 0.75 of a length. Maybe I'm being a bit unfair, but Richie's on lava spin here for Satish Simar, who was prolific last season and then kind of ended the year with a little bit of a whimper, and just picking up a couple of little injuries, so we didn't see him. He looked firmly on course at one stage, I thought, for a good crack, perhaps at the Golden Shaheen, if his rating had gone up sufficiently. It ended up on 99. He won first up last season, and he's not to be dismissed if he's right for this seasonal reappearance. As we look at Neverland Rock, who originally was a 480,000 euro yearling purchase at Arcana. And certainly has had a deal of ability, and it is very, very consistent. Hasn't been beaten further than 3 lengths in his last 4 starts, but it's just whether that transition spacing from the US would concern me. I sort of have a bit of a school of thought that if you're coming from America, you need to run very quickly, i.e. straight off the plane, or you need to leave it a good long while. So let's see how tuned up Neverland Rock is for this debut here locally. As we have a look at 9 Below Zero, who will have needed the run last time. He's going to improve a lot.
Yeah, for sure. As you say earlier, like usually horses for Fauzi, they need a run to get fit. So I'm sure he's going to improve on that. He won over here. He went quite nicely actually last year. So finished second in the Group 3 behind Drafted. Here he is. So it can be a good option tonight.
Yeah, I like him a little bit here, 9 Below Zero. As you said, it was a great effort in the Mahab Al Shamal behind Drafted. This is Walking Thunder, who was one of the stars last year of the early part of the season and started favourite for the UAE 1000 Guineas, in which he was beaten by Estiadaf. They've tried something different this year and dropped him back into sprinting company. He was beaten into fourth, 11 lengths behind Ibn Malik last time, which is an okay run in the Garhoud sprint, I thought. But a bit of a watching brief advised, I think, and that has to be Wardy, who can be a little bit tricky, as we see there, but he's been in great form this season, hasn't he?
Yeah. He just got beat by Ibn Malik, but still was a good run. He went before that in November. So it's a bit nervous tonight.
No, he's not an easy horse at all. He was a Group 3 winner when he was trained in the UK by John Gosden. Took a while to really kind of get the hang of things here in the UAE. Took him 10 starts to win a race. Doug mostly kept him to the turf earlier on, but he's pretty adept on the dirt. As Xavier says, he won 2 starts ago, beating Pop the Hood as a rather pensive-looking Jim Crowley, who's riding in the UAE for the 2nd time this season. He did pop over and ride in the very valuable Jewel Crown meeting at Abu Dhabi earlier on, and then went back to the UK. This is Drafted, who's just been a star, hasn't he? And he was a bit unlucky in this race last year.
Yes. Yeah, he's definitely a star in the UAE. I mean, it's probably the best horse they got from the sales.
Yeah, definitely. I think he cost 40,000 dirhams or something ridiculous like that, and he was trained in the US, always in Godolphin ownership. And then the Misty Hollow Farm, which is actually a syndicate of locally based people. It sounds like a posh stud farm, but it isn't. They threw us off the scent for ages with that name. But anyway, they've done incredibly well with him. He's been a good fun horse for them. And this is Gladiator King. He impresses me physically.
Yeah, very good looking horse. Very good looking. Well, as usual, I mean, also Satish never present a horse which is not good looking.
No.
They are doing very good job in the yard for that.
Yeah, they really are. He's got a lot of speed, this fellow. Used to be trained by James Mezier over in the States, and he's beautifully bred. He's by Curlin out of a Group 2 winning dam called Golden Dawn. I'm just impressed with how he's sort of filled out his frame since he arrived. He's 2 from 3 over this distance of 1,200 metres.
I heard from the manager of His Highness Sheikh Rashid, he was very confident on him. I really fancy him.
They're quite a hands-on team, Sheikh Rashid's racing manager. Often see them at the stables in the morning. And this is Tour de Paris, who I thought was rather short on the international markets. I was surprised to see him at 8-1, but Pierre Brandt's a very good trainer. She's done well here at the Carnival.
She's doing well, she's doing well. It's funny, this horse started his career in Hungary.
I know. Won a Group 2 in Hungary.
In Hungary, sorry.
In a winner there on the dirt. I wouldn't know how the Hungarian dirt surface compares to ours.
Well, I have no idea. Even the form will be hard to follow over there, but look, he moved to France. He ran well. He just won a listed race in Maison Lafitte. So on the turf.
Beating the right man, of course, the former Alpoz winner. Yeah, it's just whether or not he adapts to the dirt, but I totally respect Pierre Brandt because she had a winner here last year with Silver.
Still he ran on the all-weather in Deauville and he won, so...
You never know. He's by...
Never know.
I'm going to say this wrong, you're going to have to correct me. Fuisse he's by, who won a Prix Moulin.
Prix Moulin.
So he'll stay a little bit further than this as well, but he's actually 2 from 2 over this 1,200-metre trip. And the one we looked at briefly but went away from was Ibn Malik, who we heard about from Masaba earlier on. And I think it rather depends what mood Ibn Malik's in as to whether or not we see him win again. He couldn't fail to be impressed with that victory last time over Wardy.
Yeah.
Do you think he's one to be trusted, though, Ibn Malik? A bit quirky.
Well, look, the way he won last time was, to me, very impressive. Like, he had to shift out, to turn very... Yeah, Ibn Malik.
Drafted?
No, I'm going to take a chance on Walking Thunder.
Oh, OK. Brave. Super race this, as it should be, for $200,000. Adabawi Stakes is up next.
Rider for Fawzi Nass off with a very short suspension. He'll be back, Ibn Malik, with the familiar white and blue striped cap, and Tour de Paris to come forward for Maxime Guyon. So 4 out of the gate, still waiting on Gladiator King to go forward. Now Gladiator King once again up to the gates and goes in this time around. Lava Spin just a little bit unsettled off the inside. Richie Mullen taking a little bit of weight off its back. Now Wadi, Ibn Malik coming in together, and Tour de Paris will be the last starter. Shane Ryan marches over to his starting position about 10 or 15 metres in front of the stalls. Tour de Paris goes forward and they're all set. Ready now, racing in the Dubawi and drafted straight out the back, was slowly into stride. Lava Spin bounced away, went straight to the front. Up to second is Gladiator King, although very wide. Driving through is 9 below 0, and Wadi's going to be right on the speed. Neverland Rock dropped in behind them. Tour de Paris outside of Walking Thunder. Next of all is Ibn Malik, kept very wide on the track and about 5 lengths away then to Drafted as they turn down the side of the track. They go to the final 750, 24.01 was the lead, and Lava Spin responsible for it. Wadi up on the outside second. Gladiator King 3 wide, going up 4 wide. Ibn Malik, but trucking into the race. They were followed by 9 below 0. Next of all, Tour de Paris, Walking Thunder. 4 lengths away to Drafted with it all to do, but peeling to the outside. Then Neverland Rock into the straight they come. Gladiator King has moved up to the front, but coming after it is Ibn Malik. Ibn Malik after Gladiator King. Drafted begins to let down with a strong run down the outside as Gladiator King and Ibn Malik travelling together. 2 lengths away to Drafter, closing in the late stages. Gladiator King, the leader, over Ibn Malik. Drafter with too much to do, and Gladiator King, the American, great debut in the desert. It is Gladiator King by a half length over Ibn Malik, and Drafted next in Wadi. They were followed by Tour de Paris, then came Lava Spin. Next across the line was 9 Below Zero, Walking Thunder, and last of all was Neverland Rock. Very, very strong performance by Gladiator King, 3 wide. But travelling strongly for Macau Barcelona. Ibn Malik was travelling probably equally as well at the top of the straight for Jim Crowley out 4 wide. Drafted had given them too much of a start, really dawdled out of the barriers tonight. Drafted, not particularly quick, but I think it would be fair to say genuinely missed the start there tonight. And Gladiator King brings his very good resume from the US of A, and now has won 6 of 16. First up for Satish Seema, beautifully handled by Macau Barcelona, wins by a neck over Ibn Malik, and third Drafted ahead of Wadi.
Well, what a performance from Gladiator King. Brought with him some very good form from the US, and he has duly beaten the best of our local sprinters and beaten them well, Xavier. You were impressed with this horse beforehand, and Mikel Barcelona's found himself on a very nice sprinter here.
Yeah, definitely. Well done to him. Well done to the connection.
And this is massive for Satish Seema. As you said earlier on, his first runner for Sheikh Rashid bin Humaid Al Nuaimi. They've nurtured him along steadily enough since he arrived in September, and it will mean a lot to them. A 4th Dubawi Stakes. Yeah,
he was pretty dominant, really. You'd imagine he's going to come on for the run. Yeah, he's beaten some good sprinters. Ibn Malik, obviously, we saw win first time out. Not hard to imagine, though, that Drafted will have a much bigger say the next time they meet. He was in his kind of usual spot out the back. He made some excellent headway, and if Doug Watson is of the belief that the extra 10% fitness-wise will be there next time, then you'd still have to consider that Drafted he's probably amongst the best, but then Gladiator King could easily improve himself. So in an intriguing race, they went at a good pace, and as has been the case in most of our races tonight, really, the right horses have come to the fore.
Yeah, another win for a local trainer. Satish Seema managed 5 winners at last year's Carnival. In fact, it was actually a 5th Dubawi Stakes win for him, because he won it last year with Raven's Corner, and adds to the 3 for Reynaldo the Wizard. So it's a race he will understandably have a lot of affection for. And even at this point, really, Xavier, he didn't think he was going to get beaten. Ibn Malik has gone wider than the winner. Yes. I was cheering him on, really. He's just slightly hung in a bit for Jim Crowley, but he was never going to get there, was he?
No. Well done to the connection, really, because first run for the connection, first run for the horse in the country, so he must be a good horse. And as you say, probably the good advantage is he came early in the season, so they had time to work on him and for the horse to acclimate it to the weather.
I really do think that's the key, particularly when they're coming from America. It doesn't apply so much to the World Cup night runners, because they're in and out very quickly before they sort of have time to acclimatise. They run, and that sort of works as well. But horses that are going to be here for the duration, you've got to bring them with plenty of time. And I think a fair bit of credit goes to Sean Curran. He's among the team that ride this horse in the mornings at Zabeel Stables. But he's certainly on him the other day anyway. That's a $2.5 million race. And then Gladiator King will have to step up again, but you can only win on your debut in a country well, and that's exactly what he's done here. This 4-year-old, he just looks so thoroughly uncomplicated, as Stephen said. And he's got a nice stud job in the future, I'd have thought, as a Grade 3 winner already. Say beautifully.
But
bred
again,
on the dam side as well.
Well done to the connection and to Sheikh Rashid Al Nuaimi, because it's not easy to buy horses from America. I mean, especially sprinter, because over there they can run with medicine, which
yes, of course,
are
that's
not allowed here, and sprinters can bleed because they are going very fast in a short distance. So it's always a big challenge when you buy sprinters from the US.
That's a very good point, and a lot of the trainers will say that as well, that horses coming from the US do often need a year or so, just because it is, Stephen mentioned earlier, a completely different training regime, and they are here running latex-free and all the rest of it. We very much have sort of European rules here, as opposed to more flexible medication laws that they still have over in America. But a thoroughly nice performance, likeable performance by Gladiator King. I think the French horses run okay, Tour to Paris, so hopefully they'll be Not too disappointed with that. Do you think they'll go to dirt again with him, or do you think they'll be tempted to try the turf?
I don't know, but again, the good thing, like, because he has a form on the turf, so you can have the two options. Probably tonight, it was a good run, like, to make him ready to go to dirt.
And above, number 1 is Dukan for Antonio Fresu and Ahmed Bin Hamash. 2, Mountain Hunter, Saeed Bin Suror in search of a treble. 3 is Lucius Tiberius, Charlie Appleby's first runner of the Carnival of 2020. He's the mount of James Doyle. 4 is Zamam for Fabrice Ferron, Erwin Sharpie. Not to be confused with Zaman, who is another runner in there for Charlie Appleby. 6 is Pablo Escobar, Tom Marquand rides for William Haggis. 7 is Dubai Horizon. 8, Universal Order for Richie Muller. 9, Great King. 10 is Gifts of Gold, Pat Cosgrove rides. 11, Across the Stars. And finally, Cumin, Tiger O'Shea riding for Mick Shannon.
So a super race to conclude things this evening, and our best chance probably of getting an international winner on the board, although Godolphin are very strong as well. Looking forward to this one. Another upgraded race. As Stephen said, they are therefore in draw order, which is a little bit confusing. And a horse who seems to be attracting loads of attention is this Pablo Escobar. Everyone seems to like him, and owned, of course, by Hussein Luta, who owns Arch Gold, who's already had a nice winner this season.
200,000 euro as a yearling, so he has a good form. We definitely have to keep an eye on him.
Yeah, he's certainly a likeable sort. For William Haggis, who is here this evening, he doesn't always come over to support his runners at the Carnival, but he is here. So interesting to see how Pablo Escobar gets on as the 2-1 favourite for this race. He's a beautifully bred sort out of a really nice race mare called Bewitched, who was a Group 3 winner, and he's by Galileo. We don't have too many Galileos here in the UAE. We have had one, I think, win on dirt many years ago, but this Ahmed's assistant signed the docket for him. And Antonio Fresu rides here for Ahmed, who they've had a lot of success together over the years. I think 53 kilos would have been a bit light for Conor Beasley. He's a nice recruit to racing here. He used to be with Hugo Palmer. Won 2 of 13 runs for him, but probably best watched on this occasion. Bearing in mind the recent form of the yard. We seem to have lost the 0 now. I'm ever so confused by these saddle class. This is Mountain Hunter. What do you think? The one to beat?
Yeah, I believe. In this race, I like, you can't go out without him, without Pablo Escobar for sure. But again, you can't go without the blue. Huh?
No, you can't. I always think with Carnival Turf handicaps, if in doubt, just go for Godolphin. And then the difficult question is picking the right one. Kevin Stott looks happy to be here. He's on Dubai Horizon. Sam Hitchcock looks less happy to be here. I'm sure he's smiling inside. And there we have Lucius Tiberius, who's my idea of the winner, but I haven't got much right so far this evening, so ignore me. And this fellow was a lead horse for Gaiath last year in Dubai. He wintered out here. And he's a bit of an unusual Godolphin horse, and it used to be with Aidan O'Brien. And they purchased him for 320,000, which is quite a lot of money, out of the Tattersalls October 18 sale. And then he ran really consistently, I thought, in the UK. I felt a bit sorry for him that he didn't manage to win. I just quite like him here. I think conditions will suit him. Looks well enough. James Doyle riding. So, of course, William Buick is suspended for a bit of careless riding, misdemeanor in Japan. He will be back next week, though. Here is dear old Zamam, who was part of a memorable Erwin Sharpie double at the Carnival a couple of years ago when Fury Cressada won and Zamam won. He hasn't actually won this horse since the Abu Dhabi Championship of Group 3 in 2017. It was a great run last time. I think Connections considered retiring him. Sheikh Hamdan decided to keep him in training, and good decision.
53 on his back.
A great
effort.
Good
advantage, no?
Exactly, yeah. 53 is nothing, especially considering last time he was second with 62 on his back. I feel like he's running loose this evening for Anders Grayberg and Jabba Ramadan there. So we have a Zamam and a Zaman. This is Zaman, who Mikhail Barcelona rides for Charlie Appleby. He was in my 10 to follow this last year, this horse, and didn't really do much for that. He was third on his first start here behind Oasis Charm, and then fifth behind Mountain Hunter. He actually won here in 2018, the Maidan Classic, which is a 3-year-old race on the turf. Nice ride for Mikhail, but looks very much the second string here for Charlie. And this is Pablo Escobar. We won't miss him, will we? He's pretty distinctive.
Yeah, very pretty horse, very pretty face.
Yeah, William Haggis It's the 2 winners in the UAE so far. Doesn't bring all that many horses out here. And this fellow beat Loxley, a horse who did have a very high reputation for Godolphin at one stage, but his career's rather petered out. Anyway, interestingly enough, Loxley beat him a neck at Kempton in a listed race in December, and Mountain Hunter beat Loxley by a nose in a listed race at Newmarket in September. So on a line through Loxley, Pablo Escobar has the beating of Mountain Hunter, but it's not that easy to predict, of course. This is Dubai Horizon that Kevin Stott rides for Saeed bin Saror, another nice, lightly raced one. I'll probably find this a bit easier than his Cambridgeshire effort last time.
Yeah, well, I don't know really where to put him, because like he won an handicap, he won 0 to 95, but over here, let's see, first run in the UAE.
Yeah, first run in the UAE for this son of Poet's Voice, who's, as Xavier says, victories came at Sandown and Ayr back in 2018. Pretty much missed a year. Well, he did miss a year and then returned and was well held behind Lord North. That's Hussein Luther on the right there. Tom Marquand and William Haggis is in the blue suit. And they have Pablo Escobar. This is Universal Order, who goes for David Simcock, who's also here this evening. This fellow runs for the first time since being gelded. First time for 107 days. David Simcock didn't have the best of carnivals last year, but he's a fabulous trainer, particularly of international horses. And this fellow's got quite nice recent form, if you count September as recent, when he won at Yarmouth, beating a useful horse called El Misk. That was a good piece of form. He's 4 from 7. Looks very progressive at this stage. Richie Mullen, a nice jockey booking. And the Koreans are in the house, which is good to see. You saw Great King in our track work report earlier on. Intriguing. This guy's never run on the turf.
Yeah, very, very funny. So, again, as we say, like, he's rated 95 on the turf. So, I mean, he never ran on the turf, but he has his form on the dirt, so it's a good option. I mean, the horse is here. It's a good try. If you don't try, you don't know.
The reason he's never run on the turf is because they haven't got a turf track in Korea. They're building one. They haven't got one yet, so he's had to run on the dirt. Maybe Thomas Gillespie's always wanted to run him on the turf. Either way, he's up against it. Not the same for Gifts of Gold, who has a strong chance here, who's, again, very progressive in the UK. This is his first run in Patton Company. And he kind of threw it away a little bit, really, last time at Yarmouth, behind Predicted Guess, when he sort of hung his chance away. Actually bred by Oghill House Stud over in Ireland, and cost 280,000 initially at the Gough Sale. A career record of 2 from 5 is not to be sniffed at, and Stephen was pretty complimentary about his chances. And I felt for Jabba Ramadan, who bought Across the Stars here a couple of seasons ago now, and the horse hasn't managed to run for 544 days. It'd be the shock of the season if he can win this. But he was a very good horse in the UK for Sir Michael Stout, winner at Royal Ascot, but I think he's probably going to struggle here. And I've got the hood on for the first time. Cost Jabba just 18,000, suggesting that perhaps they'd had a tricky time with him before deciding to sell him. And this is Koeman, named after Ronald Koeman, the football manager for Mick Shannon, a former England international. And Tiger Shea coming in for a nice ride here on Koeman, who won last time at Newbury. That was back in September. Let's hear from Stephen with David Simcock.
I'm indeed with David Simcock. A few nervous moments there, Universal Order going out. Is that the way of him?
It is, yeah. He's he can be a bit fresh in the pre-parade, and he was like it last year. I thought actually gelding him would take a little bit out of it, but obviously not.
Well, time may tell that he does that, but he comes here with a progressive profile, having won 3 races. Is that why you brought him here?
Yeah, I mean, he was, like I said, he was progressive last year. He was very impressive on his last start. Won 3 lengths, beating a horse that consequently won its next 2. He's in that area, and he's a 97 rated horse. He could go forward. We think he'll go forward. And listen, we'll find out. We'll find out a bit about him. I just think he'll man up a little bit over here, and it won't do him any harm.
He's been winning in small fields where tactical speed is probably quite crucial. Do you see that as a valuable asset around here as well?
He's not a slow horse, and hopefully there'll be a little bit of pace and he can work from there. But I think whatever happens tonight, we'll see him get better as the carnival goes on.
I see you're only one here so far. I know you perhaps got Spanish Mission, Desert Encounter later on.
We brought actually 3 at the moment. Woven, who's here to help this fellow, and a horse called Casaman. who runs in 2 weeks' time, and then Desert Encounter and Spanish Mission come out for Super Saturday and the meeting before.
You always managed to find a few, don't you?
Yeah, no, listen, it gives everybody a break, and there's great opportunities over here, and it's been good.
Things up on Carnival Night 1.
BD Wholesale Banking across the stars, coming up towards the barrier stalls. We wait upon Universal Order to come forward, Pablo Escobar to come forward, and also Coman. Pablo Escobar goes into the barrier stalls. Tom Marquand on route to Sydney. He'll be down there for a bit over a month, riding in Australia after tonight. We wish him well. Universal Order, the last to come along. So they are almost set now. Final race of the night, opening night of the Carnival. A couple of them a little bit bouncy in the stalls. Now the gates are back and they're racing. Lucius Tiberius, Mountain Hunter, the best two to begin. Ducan over on the inside begins to rush up behind them. Zamam over on the inside is Zaman. And Pablo Escobar moving up on the outside in the green goes forward. Just off them Gifts of Gold, Dubai Horizon as they go into that first corner. Then came across the Stars. Coman is trapped out very wide indeed. They were followed in turn then, getting back in the field by Great King and Universal Order back towards the tail of the field. So they work up the side of the track. 23:37 was the time. And the leader here, Lucius Tiberius, out by a length on Pablo Escobar. Mountain Hunter third over on the inside. Trap wide Gifts of Gold allowed to slide around the outside of Zamama. They were followed by Ducan, who's now shuffled back on the inside ahead of Coman. Out wide, Zaman is between them. They were followed by Across the Stars. Getting back was Dubai Horizon. Then came a Great King and Universal Order at the rear. Down the back they go behind Lucius Tiberius, who shows the way. Pablo Escobar up on the outside second. Mountain Hunter over on the fence, a three-time Carnival winner already. Over on the outside, Gifts of Gold still trying to get across, but out three wide. Zamam is between them. Then Ducan. Up on the outside is Coman. Then came Zaman. Next of all then is Across the Stars. They were followed by Dubai Horizon as they come off the back. Universal Order, and Great King was back at the rear. Turning down the side of the track now, 1,000 metres to go. Lucius Tiberius has been given a lovely ride by Doyle so far. It's out by a length on Pablo Escobar, the outside. Mountain Hunter over on the leader's back. Around the outer then is Gifts of Gold. Zamam is between them. Ducan down on the fence. Then came Coman. Zaman trying to pick up ground. Across the Stars travels okay, but snooker between horses. Universal Order coming to the outside. Then came Dubai Horizon, and Great King's at the rear. Top of the straight, Lucius Tiberius has been the leader from the outset. Pablo Escobar sat at his bridle in second position. They were followed by Mountain Hunter, who needs an out now. Zaman between them. Gifts of Gold's been wide. The orange caplet running on, and Zaman is down the outside. They go inside the final 250. Pablo Escobar went up on the outside, headed off Lucius Tiberius. Down the outside is Gifts of Gold, and letting rip now is Universal Order coming with a booming run out of the middle. Pablo Escobar with a fight in its hands. Universal Order coming strongly, and a big, powerful win by Universal Order. Universal Order races away to take the last from Pablo Escobar. Zaman will get third, I'd say, from Gifts of Gold and Zaman. Close up behind them is Mountain Hunter. Next across is Dubai Horizon. Then came Across the Stars, Ducan. Behind them was Great King. Well back in the run then Coman, after covering ground in the early leader Lucius Tiberius, back amongst the tail enders. Very good run. David Simcock for the UK on board here, with Richard Mullen coming with a powerful run down the outside. Pablo Escobar seemingly had the rest covered, but then couldn't hold off the challenge of Universal Order, who's come sweeping down the outside to win by a length and a quarter. Now, third, Gifts of Gold by a nose to Zaman by the looks of it. Sure if that's what I originally thought as they hit the line, but just looking at that replay, Gifts of Gold looks to have got up for third, but we'll wait for the judge to come up with their verdict here. But a terrific win by Universal Order. Richie Mullen and David Simcock. Last year, the final race, it was a different race. It was a 1,400 metre race, but the final race of the night was won by the UK when the George Scott trained Another Bat came home for a powerful victory. Tonight, it is David Simcock with a Universal Order taking the last. The numbers of 8, 6, 10 and 4.
It couldn't really have gone to a better supporter of the Carnival. David Simcock, I don't think, has missed too many of them. A great effort by this Universal Order. Xavier, Richie Mullen, Possibly a bit unlucky earlier in that he wasn't on Gladiator King for his yard, but he's made up for it a little bit here.
Yeah, good for him, good for him. And well done to David, because as you mentioned, I think it's long, like, since his last winner in the UAE.
It's a while. Stephen and I were just trying to think when his last winner was. He always supports the Carnival. He went close last year with Woven, but it's been a few years.
Yeah, I'd hate to insult him by suggesting that Tradestorm was his last one. That's going back an awful long time, isn't it? But he was a horse that really...
Shakeside Rose won since Tradestorm.
Yeah. But Tradestorm was this type of horse. Very progressive handicapper coming into the race with a turn of foot. And he's had to show that because he's come from a long way back. Pablo Escobar's always been in front rank. Gifts of Gold was always prominent. And a cracking run from Zaman. I've been completely derogatory to him, and he's actually beaten Zaman in the Z battle there and finished fourth. So great run from Erwin Sharp, his yard, from his horse, and the whole stable are really flying at the moment. But this is quite a nice performance because he was getting worked up beforehand. He looked backward in his coat, as many will do from England at this time of year, and he's shown a nice turn of foot. And one thing we didn't mention, that all his victories had come in small fields, 3 and 4 runner races. So he's got that tactical speed to be able to quicken here at Meydan, which is probably quite a crucial asset on the turf track.
Yep, and he managed to win off what was a very, very slow pace. That's Katie Reed on the left of the horse. She does a lot of work riding for David Simcox. She's a regular out here in the winter, and say full credit to David and the whole team back there. He's a trainer who often wins big races abroad. He does particularly well in Canada. He also does extremely well, of course, in the UK. He's trained a classic winner in France. There's not much he can't do. And he's prepared this horse to perfection. I don't know if Abdullah is here, the owner. One would say not. Otherwise, he would be leading the horse in, you would expect. But Abdullah Al-Mansouri, just the second winner for him here in the UAE. But a prolific owner in Europe.
It's his own stallion as well, isn't it?
That's what I was saying earlier. Yeah, I think he certainly raced the mare as well. I think my order ran for him, and that's a 475th winner in the UAE for Richie Mullen and a 7th winner in the UAE for David Simcox from 144 runners. Just shows how dedicated he's been to supporting the racing here.
Yeah, and he's always taken the view that even if they're not going to win races, they will reap the benefit from having 2 or 3 months here in the summer. He says it's the best place for exposed handicappers because they can run, they can finish 4th and 5th and still pick up good prize money, go back to England and be essentially racing off a lesser mark, if you will. So he definitely sees the benefit of it as we take it from the start. I think he was probably dropped in intentionally, bearing in mind how he races in England. He was content to let Lucius Tiberius, who has been a pacemaker in his past, and he's gone out there in front. Mountain Hunt has been quite keen on the rail. I'll be definitely interested in him next time. First time out, last 2 years he's been beaten. Second time out, he's won both times. So keep an eye on him next time.
The pace was slow tonight.
So slow, wasn't it? And a lot of them were over racing.
Yeah. So it made the game easy for Richie to come, for any horses to come from the back. If, like, I mean, even if, like, see, Mountain Hunter is not that comfortable at this stage.
No, he's not.
He's just too keen. Just too keen. So Richie took his time at the back. He'd never been really worried about the pace, and he did well. He did well.
Yeah, he did really well. Richie riding as well as ever now, and has had a few little sort of injury niggles this season. So this will mean the world to him, I'm sure. He had to miss a couple of meetings earlier on in the season, and that obviously isn't ideal for any jockey, particularly one who bases himself here full time. And the UAE
he's a tough old man.
Tough old man. Thank you for that. And it's very much his sort of home now, the UAE, for Richie and his family. Shelley, his wife, will be watching at home along with all the little Mullins. And he's just started sort of creeping forward at this stage, hasn't he? And
yeah.
I was watching them up front thinking, has James Doyle got the fractions exactly right on Lucius Tiberius? But we often see this, don't we, in these carnival turf handicaps? They go very slowly.
No. It's not that often.
But I thought you had it right with Pablo Escobar.
Yeah, well, he had the perfect position. And I thought he was going to do it.
One of the first to cry enough is Koeman there with Taige Shea, who they were sort of forced out wide for much of the race, which wouldn't have helped. There's the Korean is on the outside of the eventual winner, Great King. Zaman has got racing early in the summer these. As Stephen said, he stayed on really well under Fabrice Veron. He's actually got a bit tight for room there in the Sheikh Hamdan silks in the centre, but no such problems for Richie, who's sort of swooped wider than most of the principals here. At this point, I thought Tom Marquand probably thought he had it won, didn't he, on Pablo Escobar? Great run from him, but he's swooped past that nicely. Just the 53 kilos on his back universal order. He'll be set for a bit of a rise in the weights. And we can hear now from winning trainer.
Always nice when an interview beforehand goes and wins, but he's done that very well because he's quickened off a slow pace there, I think, David.
Yeah, he's picked up good. He's had to do that all his career, in all fairness. You know, there's 2 wins, even though there's small fields at Bath and even Yarmouth. He's had to learn to quicken. We don't try and find out too much about him at home because you can see he's a lively character. So, no, it's just very pleasing and ridden exactly how we wanted. And if we'd finished strong and finished 4th or 3rd, it wouldn't really have mattered. But to go and win, great, it's a bonus.
For his owner, Abdullah Al-Mansouri, obviously had the stallion. Am I right in saying he raced the mare as well?
He bought the mare. He didn't race the mare, but he had the stallion, and the stallion produces really good-looking stock, actually. It's a shame he's now doing another job, but no, listen, he's a talented one anyway.
Many congratulations, David. Well done.
Thanks, Stephen.
I was just listening to Richie Mullen as well on the big screen, saying he's still a bit of a big baby, this horse, so Universal Order, only a 4-year-old, first time gelded, which so often can bring about a dramatic improvement in their form. I'd say Pablo Escobar, an eye-catcher for me. Stephen made a good point as well about Mountain Hunter being perhaps one to catch second time out here at the Carnival, but it's hard, it's very hard to beat Godolphin on the turf here, and it's important for the Carnival, isn't it, that we have international runners, international winners. It will encourage more people to send horses in.
Definitely. But so now you have one for Britain.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I'm not going to pretend I'm not a bit biased, to be honest. David Simcott's always been very good to us on the channel. He's been a Winning Line guest in the past, and he's always very helpful with our filming requests, so we like him to do well, and it makes it nice as well that we have a local owner and a jockey who is an absolute star with all his media engagements. He'll be riding tomorrow, keeping very busy at Alain, and he'll of course be back here on Saturday as well. I think Richie's got some new gloves. I haven't seen those sort of baby blue ones before.
No,
maybe that's made the difference.
Well, maybe it did the difference tonight. Maybe the lucky gloves.
Do you think there are any hard luck stories here?
I don't think, just like the pace probably a bit too slow, so didn't really suit all horses, but I didn't see anyone that unlucky. Just keep an eye on Mountain Hunter for next run.
Definitely. They just need to go a little bit quicker, don't they,
just
for him?
He was
just over racing a bit in the early stages. I definitely think there's a win in Pablo Escobar. If Connections decide to persevere with him this Carnival, I think that would be a wise thing to do. And actually, Lucius Tiberius dropped away quite
Pablo
tamely.
Escobar 58 kilo, Universal Order 53. So it's a 5 kilo difference.
Yeah. He won't be quite, you know, he hasn't won all that far. He'll certainly be set for a bit of a hike. It won't be quite so easy for him next time, but he's won that in the manner of a progressive horse, and the UK is off the mark for the Carnival. And what's been a very enjoyable opening night. Not the easiest night to find the winners, though.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
No.
Still.
Certainly not. Of course, it all started right back. Race number 1, the UAE